Edmonton Sports Talk. My God, I loved it.
My name's Jay Milne. #Koob.
Our sports update deliverer, the Koob.
I'm Zachary Kubusch, and you're up today. You know what, Reid? You might be honest.
All right, here's what's going on in the nasty stuff. Well, only 364 days and 22 hours until the next trade deadline. Start your countdown, everybody. I'm sure many of you are already looking forward to it if you were underwhelmed by what happened this season. Much to discuss. I think the will be the foci. Is that the plural of focus? The foci?
Sure, let's go with
Let's go with that. The foci of the show today, and I think the foci of the discussion will obviously be what the Oilers did or perhaps didn't do. That'll be a discussion point for many people. And then I think the league-wide picture, the story for me, is what has happened really over the past month or so within the Central Division. Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado all doing some things to beef up. That's going to be a very competitive division through the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs. The Oilers also did win last night, with Max Jones making his Oilers debut. He got an assist. I thought he played pretty well, and they'll try to make it two in a row tomorrow against Mikko Rantanen and the Dallas Stars. Third time the Oilers will face him this season on three different teams. That's an 8 o'clock game, 7 o'clock with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas. Jay, how are you doing?
Well, that was a trade deadline day that I've never experienced.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. It was interesting. The buzz was definitely alive and well in the EST studios. Everybody was, talking, checking their phones, drinking coffee.
We did have some coffee and donuts thanks to Fox downtown.
Yes, it was lovely. It was a good day. I mean, on the Oilers trade front, obviously it was a little boring. Most of their moves, or their two moves, were made in prior days. Well, I guess technically the one was made really, really, really early this morning. But some big things happened nonetheless. So, yeah, that Central Division, Reid. We'll have to discuss it.
Jamie Thomas from Winnipeg is going to hop on in about an hour and a half or so, maybe a little less than that, because we do want to dive into that. That's an interesting storyline. And, of course, plenty to discuss with the Edmonton Oilers. We had the Stan Bowman news conference live on EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. We'll get to some of the key comments for that. And, of course, hey, it's definitely a good day for your reaction. 780-218-9999 is how you text us. That is the River Cree inbox. River Cree Resort and Casino, home of the Kitchen Restaurant. All-you-can-eat prime rib buffet for just $49.99 every Sunday from 4 to 10 p.m. You can email reid@edmontonsportstalk.com. Looking forward to getting some trade deadline-themed limericks today. That'll be fun. You can consume the program, of course, the audio streams, the TuneIn Radio app, the iHeartRadio app through edmontonsportstalk.com. Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Subscribe to our show. Subscribe to Hernan and Gager's show, the Nielsen Show, the Oil Stream, on and on, all our great programs here on Edmonton Sports Talk. And you can also get us with a video element, camera included, on YouTube. We have a chat there. If you're new to the program, we call it the Nasty Chat. Now, I know sometimes people hear that. They think, where is this? Where do I go for this Nasty Chat? It's what those wise guys in the morning, I think it was them,
I believe,
so started calling it. Probably that Dustin Nielsen guy. It's just the chat on YouTube. We call it the Nasty Chat. Sometimes for fun, Jay and I call it the Diabolical Dialogue. Tom Gazzola is in there to also field your Oilers-related questions. And with that chat, sometimes we take stuff out of it and might discuss it on air, but it's also a great place just for many of you to chatter with each other. So have fun with that. And if you are on YouTube, and especially if you're new today, we want to ask you to do a couple of things. Subscribe to Edmonton Sports Talk. Okay, we're making a push for 12,000 subscribers. We're just under 11,400 right now. and give this show a thumbs up because it helps grow the station, grows the YouTube algorithm to suggest the show to people who are going to be interested. And it's fun for Jay and it's fun for me because if we get to 100 and thumbs, then we do a double word of the day at the end of the show. 130 is single, so 100 is bare minimum. Like 100 is a recognition, hey, we see you guys can breathe. Good job.
We're at 11,394 subscriptions right now.
So let's at least get
like,
those 6
I
subscriptions.
mean, come on, this is child's play.
Yeah,
let's
get
just
those.
everybody go on there, subscribe to Edmonton Sports Talk. Let's roll through that on our way to 12,000.
And give us the thumbs up. Let's see how high we can go today. Another very significant trade is, well, might even still be the most recent one to have been announced, is that the captain of the Boston Bruins, a guy associated with only the Boston Bruins through his, let's face it, illustrious career, even though for separate reasons, Jay and I aren't always huge fans of this man, Brad Marchand traded to the Florida Panthers of all teams. Just in case you didn't think the Panthers had enough gritty, sometimes line-crossing players, they get another one. Now, I'm just trying to check the official return here. Have we seen it yet?
No, nothing's been announced.
It still says TBD on the website. I know somebody in the nasty chat suggested it's a couple of draft picks. Scotty Knows says Boston got a second in 2027. Wow. That is not a lot. But anyway, that's another story to follow as well. All right, so yeah, let us know how you're feeling. We'll break stuff down for you. We'll give some of our thoughts. Matt Cassian from our show, The Oil Stream, one of our analysts, is going to hop on, and from Two Guys on a Goalie. He'll join us in about half an hour. Stan Bowman held, in my mind, a surprisingly extensive media availability today. Usually those are capped at between 20 or 30 minutes. I think that one was closer to 40.
Well, you guys, you and Tommy and Dusty were sitting, we were all watching it.
Even as a media person, and I was not in that room today, I've been in the room for plenty of those, a GM availability, a coach firing, a year-end, a State of the Union, whatever you want to call it. And it's you're lucky to be able to ask questions and stuff like that. But even I, as someone who feel like, okay, we want to get information from this person, the questions started to get a little repetitive near the end. And they kept going with it. But whatever. That's just an aside. The Oilers also put out a statement on Evander Kane. I'll read it because it's not very long. After further consultation with team medical staff, it has been determined that forward Evander Kane will not be ready to return to action for the remainder of the 2024-25 regular season. As a result, he will remain on long-term injured reserve. Kane underwent successful abdominal surgery last September. His rehabilitation continues to take place in Edmonton under the supervision of the club's medical staff. So no Kane until the playoffs. That does not mean he plays in game 1 of the playoffs. Okay, remember that. It does not mean Kane plays in game 1 of the playoffs. It means that the Oilers are hoping to get him back at some point. Like, it could be game 1, but they're hoping to get him back at some point in the playoffs. And obviously, the deeper they go, the better chance that we see Evander Kane. Stan Bowman had a couple of comments on Evander Kane, and we're going to get to those as well. Let's start with this one, because what was a major need that you and I identified when it came to the defense?
A defensive defenseman.
Who preferably shoots right.
Right, yeah.
So they got Jake Walman, who has a pretty good point total this year on a bad team. Is only -1 on a bad team. So Bowman was asked about that. So, it seemed like your need was a right shot, shut down-ish type defenseman, and instead you got Jake Walman.
We're looking for good players, and first and foremost. He's number 1 defenseman on their team, and they've had a tough year. But you look at the way he's performed, to be able to perform at that level on a team that's had it's been a struggle a bit for that team this year. I think it shows you how well he's played. So I love his skill set. I think he's got. He's a big guy, maybe he's not super tall, but he's 6'1", almost 220 pounds. So he's strong, and he can skate, makes plays, very competitive. He doesn't play a passive game. He's involved in the game. I think our forwards are going to enjoy playing with him, whether he's a left or a right. I think sometimes that gets overblown a little bit. I mean, Kulak's played a lot on the right this year, and he's done I think Kulak's had his best year. He's been fantastic for us. So whether Walman plays on the right or whether Kulak does, I think those are options for the coaches.
Okay, so we even discussed that yesterday between 5 and 6 when we first got wind of this trade. It wasn't official until, I think it was like 12:01. I got the email, 12:01 this morning. So I can't remember what you said, Jay, but to me, it's more likely that Kulak goes to the right side, though as we see the Oilers, they do a lot of shifting around. But I would say, assuming Ekholm, now the Oilers did not practice today, by the way, so we don't have any, Knobloch didn't speak, we don't have any updates on Ekholm or Klingberg or anything like that. Cam Dunedin was sent back to the minors after playing tonight and getting some significant ice time, by the way. And some significant. Side note, were you surprised to see him out there in overtime?
Yep. But good for him. And I just thought it was funny. He was out there. He got the puck, turned it, great. And there was not much, I guess, he didn't show a high amount of motivation to try go up the ice with the puck.
Right.
He stayed in his zone, saw that the lines were changing, and waved his hand saying, "Boys, I'm coming."
Well,
but good for him, good for Knobloch. I mean, get out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and he's not 19. He's getting into his late 20s here. So I wasn't as surprised to see him out in overtime when I realized that he'd been out there late in regulation time. And in the third period, earlier in the third, I can't remember the exact time. Remember he had that wraparound? He walked around, and he actually had an open shot at the net. Like, he was not being checked. If he hits his spot, that would have been hard for Montembeault to react. He had a big slap shot that went wide of the net with about 5.5 minutes left. So it appeared that they were comfortable with him. And, he is a bit more of an offensive player. So good for him for being out there. So anyway, the clip there from so here's what Bowman is saying, and this is one of the things that'll spur discussion. I'm sure. Bowman is saying, well, I'll just replay the very start of that.
We're looking for good players.
Okay, so I think what Bowman is saying, I don't go into the trade deadline thinking I must get a right shot D. That's the only thing I can get. He might go in thinking that's my preference, that's my number one on my wish list, but he's saying. And we're going to have another clip on Walman later, another couple ones. He really liked Jake Walman, and he finally got Mike Grier to cough him up. So he's saying we got a good defenseman. He said that comment. He thinks the forwards are going to like him. So that tells me, what we heard yesterday, and Drew Remenda from the Sharks broadcast was on with Dusty and Eric this morning, that he's the type of player who can get the puck up to the forwards. I heard Rashog on with Dusty and Eric this morning as well, and he said the Oilers are leaning into their strengths. Get the puck up the ice, keep it in the other end of the rink.
Well, look, who's the best? What's the best thing you got going on the Oilers? Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
True.
Get people to move the puck to them and stay out of the way.
Right.
But I liken that comment Stan Bowman made. We just had to get the best player available. That's something you hear at the NFL draft, whereas a team is saying, okay, I know we need a defensive tackle, but this really good, young offensive lineman is there. I know we have them now, but we should get this player. He's the best available. You don't always have to address your exact needs. Just take the best player. And if there is upside here because there is term here.
Right.
And he's a younger player who's -1 on a dreadful San Jose team.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah. Look, and we talked about this yesterday, and from the stuff we started to hear and then stuff you and I have heard since, I do think there's reason to believe that Jake Walman will be a good, if not very good, addition to the Oilers defense corps. Like, he comes in ahead of Emberson, clearly comes in ahead of Stetcher. And to me now, Klingberg is not in the top 6 for the Oilers defenseman. He's the 7, and Stetcher's the 8.
Yep.
That's how I now look at that.
Which is moving in the right direction. And I realize everybody's going to say Reid isn't good enough. They should have just beefed up. I get that. I can't really argue with that. The tale will be told through the rest of the regular season and into the postseason. You know what, Reid? I got news for you. There's not much you can do about it now. This is it.
No, the deadline has passed.
These are the horses you're running with.
Well, and of course, now a lot of this will just come down to playing your best at the right time. Get into the playoffs. which I feel a little better about after winning last night, after the Oilers won last night in overtime. Keep banking points, get in. It's already looking like yet another collision course with the LA Kings. And maybe the best version of the Kings the Oilers will be playing if it's 4 consecutive matchups, but that's a discussion for down the road. But yeah, the Walman pickup in itself, I think they got a good player. And I think they got, like you said, Jay, they got a player they're going to have next year, and then maybe a player they can keep beyond that. And maybe a player that gives them some flexibility based on some other players who might eventually be UFAs or RFAs. One in particular, we all know who I'm talking about. So,
well, that's exactly what it is. Like him, hate him, whatever. But this puts pressure on Evan Bouchard. In a way, I think a competitive pressure to say, okay, this is a similar guy to you. You know, earn your keep. If you're going to be asking for this big contract after this season, you better pick it up.
780-218-9999 is the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. Again, you can talk with us and, well, more importantly, with each other, because that is what is happening. Just remember, keep it respectful, keep it clean. You can disagree, but there's no reason for name calling or too much anger. We are talking to fellow sports fans, and we all want to get along as best as possible. And email Reid at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. I might as well jump in with an early show limerick because I think we're going to get a few today. This is from William Mike Spear, the poet laureate of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jason Milne, and a pretty good curler. I curled on his team at the ESP Funspiel presented by Lloyd Sad Insurance Brokers. Did I say bokers? What is a boker? You'll have to give me that for the word of the day. Deadline day was a big dud. Oilers did not land a stud. Panthers get Marchand. I don't understand. Are he and Bennett now buds? Pretty good.
Very good.
Pretty good. Solid writing there. All right. We have plenty more cuts from Stan Bowman. We have plenty more of time for your reaction. We have Jamie Thomas out of Winnipeg in a little over an hour. Our own Matt Kassian coming up at about 3:40. And we're going to stick with all the regular fun stuff we do on the show as well, including our off-topic topic presented by William Huff. Since 1952, William Huff has provided industry-leading advertising solutions for thousands of valued clients. Their unparalleled customer service, combined with decades of industry expertise and a desire to make every job the very best can be, is what they call the William Huff Advantage. Visit their website at williamhuff.com or give them a shout, 780-454-4536.
Send in whatever you want. We'll be checking the River Cree inbox a lot today because it's time to vent. Good, bad. Let us know how you think. We graded this draft or trade deadline. Reid, you gave it a C?
I would give it a C, but with the, of course, caveat that I'll change the grade if they do really well in the playoffs.
You can't say that.
Well,
the caveat would be that you don't, to be determined on, I guess, where do you project Walman's, going in this lineup? Where, do you think he's going to be on the second unit?
On the second pairing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure because I think they'll keep Eck and Bush together. So then do you go Nurse Kulak and Walman Emberson, or do you go Kulak Emberson and Nurse Walman and move Walman to the right side? I think they will start by moving Kulak to the right side and have Nurse and Kulak together and start Walman with Emberson. That's my guess. We'll see at the morning skate tomorrow.
Darnell Nurse played over 26 minutes last night.
Yes, what was the ice time for all the D? Because Dineen still got to 15, right?
Dineen, 14:56. Stetcher, 16:36. Emberson, 14:36. Dineen played more than Emberson.
Interesting, Emberson didn't play a bunch.
Darnell Nurse, 26:38. Kulak, 25:34. Bouchard, 24:41.
And I think Kulak continues to play well. Emberson on the Caulfield goal, I know Dineen was the last Oiler to touch it. That was a tough pass from Emberson.
Yes.
I think he kind of put his teammate in a tough situation.
Shows in the minutes.
So maybe, I don't remember exactly if his minutes got cut directly after that.
Now, Ekholm can play the right side as well. He did that in Nashville.
But but it's just he's always out there with Bouchard, right? Like that's Bouchard's safety blanket, hopefully.
But it's not working. Bouchard is continually getting exposed.
Well, I guess they're hoping maybe that Ekholm gets some rest and comes back stronger. I mean, I don't know, was getting yesterday's game off enough? I mean, since Dineen got assigned, I would expect that he's going to play tomorrow. Like, I don't, even if Klingberg feels better, I don't think he'd be the guy to come in.
Well, there's going to be some new faces in Edmonton. Rantanen's on his way to Edmonton right now, I would imagine, to meet up with his new team.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy tomorrow. So the off-topic topic for William Huff is, if the Oilers trade deadline were a movie, what would the title be? Bonus points if you use an existing movie title, and explain to us how it works. So, well, that's the priority. Use an existing movie title for the Oilers trade deadline. But usually we don't do this. I'm going to say there's one you can't use because it's a little mean and it'll be a little tired if 400 people start sending it in. You can't say Dumb and Dumber. Okay, everybody? I know many of you don't like Stan Bowman. I know many of you don't like Jeff Jackson. I know many of you don't like anything the Oilers do. You can't use Dumb and Dumber. Now, if you want to say it's about me and Jay, fine. But that's not the off-topic topic. It's about the Oilers trade deadline.
I'm going to have to think about it. I'm sure there'll be some spicy ones that come in.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
Ryan from Saskatchewan says, how is the deadline a dud? They got a legit top 4D. They get faster and more physical. You can't trade your way out of the long list of guys having off years.
I think that's a fair comment. Well, first of all, I didn't call it a dud. I guess some people are. No, I don't think it's a dud. But I mean, the reason I gave it a C is because I don't think it's spectacular either, right?
Yeah.
So, but yes, the D gets better. And they added a couple of forwards, one of whom is a proven NHLer. We'll see if Jones can continue being consistent. And we're going to have a clip from Stan Bowman coming up after the break here about the types of forwards that they added. That perhaps that was something that, well, not perhaps, that was something that the Oilers were lacking. So I think that's a fair comment. But again, you know what it's like, Jay. The Oilers get this player, and they might be good players, but the fans look around and say, well, that team got that guy, and that team got that guy, and that team got that guy. We should have got those three guys as well. Right? Why didn't the Oilers get Rantanen? Why didn't the Oilers get Brock Nelson? You tell me.
Yeah. Their hands were somewhat
But no,
tied.
I do not think this trade deadline was a dud. If you want to say that, you can say that. But as we always ask people, that person, who was that from Saskatchewan?
Ryan from Saskatchewan.
Ryan's from Saskatchewan. I believe Ryan lives in Climax, Saskatchewan.
Why would you say that?
I just picked the name of a town.
There's a town in Saskatchewan
Yes,
called
there's
Climax?
a town called Climax. That's why I picked it. So what was I saying? So he backed up his logic, right?
He did. And that's
again,
why I read that.
If you want to call it a dud, you got to tell us why you think it's a dud. It's not based on what me or Jay think. It's more interesting if you tell us why.
Well, and he's got a point with what he's saying. They did kind of, when you look at it that way, did they not do the best they could given the constraints and circumstances?
Well, and then they addressed some possible deficiencies. But again, the question is, did they address them enough? Did they address them enough to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, Reid, Adam Henrique went 9% in the circle last night.
Well, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. 9. 1 for 10.
Mex Bezozu says the Oilers trade deadline movie title is a complete unknown relating to the LTIR status of Evander Kane. The Big Uke calls it the Lost Boys. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, there's lots coming in.
We're going to get lots. I dropped my pen again. Early show pen drop. That's becoming somewhat of a tradition.
Jeez.
More comments from Stan Bowman. Matt Cassian ahead. It's the Reid Wilkins Show with Jason Milne as the trade deadline has passed.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring Utah as they go to the Madhouse to face off against the Blackhawks. The Canucks host the Wild, and St. Louis heads to Orange County where the Ducks are waiting. The Central Division is showing up for deadline day as the Stars make the biggest splash, grabbing Mikko Rantanen and extending him to $96 million over the next 8 years. Wyatt Johnson also getting an 8-year deal of his own. The Avs, they go get Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. Then the Jets, they had 2 vets in Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev. Many, they stay quiet. To the rest of the league, the Sens pick up Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund as they send out Josh Norris, Jacob Bernard, Docker, and more. Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton go to the Leafs, and a big one. The return is unknown, but the Panthers grab Brad Marchand. To the association, there are 8 games on the hardcourt, including the Raptors welcoming the Jazz to the north. The Hornets host the Cavs, and the Suns head to Denver as they get the Nuggets. This sports update is brought to you by Paramount Flooring, proudly serving Edmonton area for the last 30 years. Their showroom offers all the best and latest in flooring, tiles, and area rugs. Tell them EST sent you for 10% off your next purchase in-store or online at ParamountFlooring.ca. Trade Watch after the break. I'm Brendan Eric, and you're up to date.
GCL Diesel has been serving oil country since 1972. From diesel cars to SUVs to pickups. From farm tractors to school buses to a big rig. From diesel generators to forklifts, GCL can test, troubleshoot, and repair all diesel fuel system components. Whether it's injectors, pumps, turbos, filters, or additive, GCL has the parts you need to keep your diesel running the way it should. For genuine diesel parts at wholesale prices, visit GCL Diesel in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel. Diesel understood.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
The grand opening sale at Sit and Sleep is almost over. This is your last chance to take advantage of the special introductory sale prices on all mattresses. Stop in today for a free pressure point scan using cutting-edge technology so sleepologists can identify the perfect mattress for you. Right now, get free local delivery on any mattress over $7.99 and receive a free bamboo cooling mattress protector. Enjoy grand opening savings with every mattress on sale. Join us on location today for the final celebrations at Sit and Sleep in South Common next to Planet Fitness. Don't miss out. The grand opening sale ends soon.
All right, hope you're having a great Friday afternoon. Trade deadline passing. The Oilers, well, technically they did something today because the email was at 12:01. The Walman trade was finalized after the Oilers beat Montreal last night. Max Jones played last night. Trent Frederick will play in hopefully about 3 weeks or so. So those are the Oilers' deadline pickups. Brad Marchand traded to Florida. X-Ray J saying, how can it still be listed as TBD on the websites? TBD, brah. That's what they should actually write in there. Yeah, I know it takes a while sometimes for them to file these, and there may be a queue of last-minute trades going into the NHL office. But that's pretty. There was a report, or somebody put in there was for a second rounder. So that's pretty significant. Brad Marchand going to the Florida Panthers. Rantanen goes to Dallas. We'll discuss the Central Division arms race as we move along throughout this afternoon as well.
Did you see that? I didn't see this last one that is reported here. Mark Jankowski went from Nashville to Carolina.
How many teams is this going to be for him? A few. He was a big Flames prospect a few years ago.
Yes.
If you're in YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube in the Nasty Chat, also remember to click the thumbs up.
Click, click, click. Must you click? Please, please click. Must you? You must click. Thumb, thumb, thumb.
Yeah, no reason we can't. Well, I don't want to get too optimistic. I think we got a chance at a new show record today.
Oh, we're going for it.
Of over 200. But
you have to just speak it into existence, Reid.
Yeah, we're going. What is
it.
our record? Do we even know? Is it 213 or was it 222?
223.
It was 223.
There's 380
for the live show record.
There's 381 people watching right now.
Just on
do
YouTube.
It. Let's
just
end
on YouTube.
It.
And if you're on the audio stream, hop into YouTube before you leave work or make dinner or whatever,
Click,
and give us some more thumbs up.
Must you click?
So yeah, you know the lyrics. Congratulations.
Thumb, thumb, thumb.
Here, I'll get to some text from you, Jay, in a second here. But I want to play this clip from Stan Bowman as we give you the trade deadline coverage, of course, presented by Nate's Construction and Leadership Supervision Program. Take your career to the next level with Nate's Construction Leadership and Supervision Program, a perfect tool for professionals looking to advance their role or an organization needing to develop leaders. For more information and to register, visit nate.ca/CLSP to take your career to another level. Bowman had this to say about the types of players that the Oilers have and the new forwards, Jones and Frederick.
We talked about the desire for our team to have a bit of a different look. I think if you looked at our team as it was before this week, we have a lot of players that are similar up front. They're kind of different versions of the same player. They have different attributes, but for the most part, they're not like Frederick or Jones. Those guys have a much different skill set, and I think it's something that we've been lacking. And as a result, it was an important piece for us to address that.
Okay. So, in Bowman's mind, he addressed the lack of grit up front.
Yep.
In Bowman's mind. Or even if he doesn't think that, he's not going to come out and say, "Oh, I didn't really get the players I wanted." Now, the one texter from, where's he from in Saskatchewan? Emerald Park? Is that just outside of Regina?
Emerald Park, Saskatchewan. I don't know.
We'll find out as we go. Somebody will tell us. Somebody's going to say where Emerald Park is. So that's what Bowman is saying. We weren't quite fast enough. We weren't quite physical enough in the bottom six specifically. So I brought in those players. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is what I always remind people at this time of year. This is what we're discussing. The GM did do something, right? He did. They did make trades, and in his mind, they addressed a need, and it's a need we've talked about on this show and on this station a lot since the start of the year. So really, the discussion is, did he do it well enough? Some people are maybe already going to be so. And this, just to, like, there's a lot we can throw at this, but Jay and I try to sort of focus in on certain things if we can. So the discussion of, okay, the Oilers didn't get a top six forward or didn't get this is fine, but it's not directly comparable to them getting Jones and Frederick, right?
Right.
So you can say, well, they didn't address this need, and that's fine, but then we also have to say, okay, that's not quite, the goalposts aren't quite in the exact same place as did they address the toughness and a little bit of speed and a little bit of grit in the bottom six. So that's sort of how we're asking you to look at it, And again, don't have to like the GM, don't have to like us, don't have to like what he did, but I don't like when messages come in. It's just like, well, they never should have traded Spooner, like Strome for Spooner. Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with Jones and Frederick. Like, there's a point where you got to put the, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. And look at the very 10-mile view of this. You have to look at this team and say, is this team better today than they were last week and this day? Are they better today than they were last Friday?
I think they probably are.
How can you say they're not?
A little bit.
And there's some clarity on what's going on with Evander Kane. At least
till the end of the regular
season.
No, that's fair.
Now, I will say this. Welcome to those from Winnipeg Sports Talk. I saw you guys have joined. Your very own Jamie Thomas will be joining us in about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So we will get to a lot of what happened, get his take on what he thought of the big moves. I mean, that's the story of the trade deadline, is this Central Division. Some are calling it the arms race of the Central Division. But here's the thing, Reid. I'll tell you how this trade deadline was for Stan Bowman in June, hopefully.
Well, that's the bottom line.
Okay.
We can decide whatever we want to decide.
You can say everything you want to say
do it
now,
on the ice.
but until this team is in the playoffs, and you can see how this comes together, because he did say as well that you can also upset the mix of the team by bringing in, too many or the wrong players. These are players that, by all accounts, I mean, Drew Remenda was on the morning show and was speaking glowingly about Walman. Sorry. You have to take that into consideration. You don't know that the Dallas Stars and acquiring Mikko Rantanen are just going to become world beaters. You don't know how that's going to work out.
Well, only one team really feels great at the end. And only one team out of Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado will even make the Final Four. Maybe none. Maybe Calgary moves into that division as a wild card and beats everybody. Portions of this hour are presented by the Canadian Brewhouse. UFC lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. UFC 313 tomorrow. The most TVs, epic food, drinks, and a wild atmosphere. Don't miss it. The Canadian Brewhouse. Our house is your house.
The off-topic topic today, for those wondering or just joining us, if the Oilers trade deadline was a movie title, what would it be called? Chris Sadabway says, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Title of the movie, the best, this is from Ben, that best describes the transactions this year is The Lion King, because whoever says this was a successful trade deadline is the king of lion. Ooh, twisty. This is a short from 2016 called No Movement. Rob from the Grove says, failure to launch. Good. Keep them coming in. No trade clauses for old men. I believe that's a take on No Country for Old Men.
What was it?
No trade clauses for old men.
No trade clauses for old men.
That's from Pizza Boy. Good
well,
one.
Interesting, because Stan Bowman was asked about all the no movement clauses and if that's something that made it challenging to do some work at the deadline.
Yeah, I guess that's true that it can be challenging to move money in today's game. We have a lot of players that really haven't been as consistent as we'd like. So I guess when you look at the performance of our team, then questions start being asked as far as should you move that player, should you not move that player. I don't know if that was as much of a factor as just our overall team performance wasn't that strong. So I think sometimes more gets made of that than is needed as far as their trade protections. That wasn't a huge factor this week for us.
Okay, so Bowman's saying the no move clauses weren't factors. So I think he's telling us that those were players he probably wouldn't have tried to trade anyway, even if they didn't have no moves. I think he's also saying, and he brought this up, and Jay, you and I listened to the whole thing. I mean, for the sake of brevity and for just highlighting things for our audience, we kind of picked the most interesting clips. But he did reference on more than one occasion that basically that if the team plays to its potential and with the players that he's added, he believes they're a pretty darn good team. Like he basically said that you would like to think everybody picks off where they left off at the previous season and then are a little bit better at the start of the next season and continue to improve. But it's not a straight line that way, and that's clearly what's happened with a lot of Oilers players this season. He said he liked the way they played last night. He thinks that's more indicative of who they are. We saw the Oilers go 22-6-1 over a 29-game stretch. So he is believing that is closer to who he thinks they are. Like he's basically saying when the Oilers have had bad stretches that they have not played close enough to their potential or anywhere near their potential. So I think he's banking on more players doing that who have done it, and he's banking on the 2 or 3 players that he's brought in to change the dimension of the team a little bit enough that they can be more dangerous in the playoffs. To me, that's the summary of what he believes.
Yep. I can't, that makes sense to me. And he did mention in terms of Trent Frederick, where he's going to fit in. As a winger, he could see him going on the top 2 lines. As a center, you could see him being that 3rd-line center, of which Adam Henrique was playing last night.
Right.
And went 1 for 10. So just keep that in mind. And really, the jury's out on Trent Frederick as well. Because how many weeks was he out before he was traded?
That's a good question. I can't remember now. Too much in my brain this week. But
like he's played 57 games this year.
Yeah,
so he
just
that
it
many.
wasn't that long ago. I just want to double check his exact game log on Hockey Reference, and I can tell you last time he played was on February 25th against Toronto. So that was 2 weeks ago, basically. It was the second game back after the Four Nations face-off. So it was right around then.
But this is a player with size and speed.
Right.
And you're hoping he brings physical play as well, which, by all accounts, and according to Corey Perry, he's quite a physical man.
But that's what Stan Bowman is saying, that he thinks the team has not always played to its potential, and that they had some deficiencies that he thinks he's fixed with the players they brought in. That's what he's selling. We better take a timeout, and then we'll get the perspective of our own Matt Kassian. It's the Reid Wilkins Show with Jason Milne.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring the Red Wings on the road to meet up with the Capitals. Winnipeg heads to New Jersey, and the Golden Knights get Sidney Crosby along with the rest of the Pens in the late window. The Central showed out for deadline day as the Stars make the biggest splash, grabbing Mikko Rantanen and extending him for $96 million over the next 8 years. Wyatt Johnson also getting an 8-year deal of his own. The Avs go grab Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. Then the Jets, they add 2 veterans in Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev. To the rest of the league, the Sens pick up Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund. They send out Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard-Docker, as well as some other prospects and picks. Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton will be going to the Leafs in one of the biggest trades of the afternoon. The return is unknown, but the Panthers go get Brad Marchand. To the association, there are 8 games on the hard court, including the Raptors welcoming the Jazz up north. Miami hosts Minnesota. San Antonio heads to Sacramento, and the Blazers tip off against the Thunder. And a little NFL news. The Commanders, they re-sign linebacker Bobby Wagner on a 1-year deal worth $9.5 million. This sports update is brought to you by Advantage Medicine and Physiotherapy. Get treated like a pro with their highly skilled crew. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance your performance, get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game. Matt Cassian, Around the Break. I'm Brendan Eric, and you're up to date.
Get your fix every single game with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas. Whether it's breaking down the starting lineup, predicting key matchups, or diving deep into the game's biggest moments, Tom and Hernan are here to give you the best insight and analysis in the city. After the final horn, get the breakdown of every key moment, performance, and player reactions. It's your one-stop shop for all things game day. Catch the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Do you have pets? Horses? Chickens? Did the place you used to get your feed recently close down? Have no fear. Clover Bar Feeds is here. Whether it's dogs, cats, horses, or chickens, Clover Bar Feeds has you covered. Offering a large variety of food and feed, you can trust the experts at Clover Bar Feeds. They've been family owned and operated for over 60 years. This means you can expect nothing less than top-notch service and selection. Come visit them at 200 Portage Close in Sherwood Park, or visit them online at cloverbarfeeds.com.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced and innovative accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit gallollp.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
Looking for quality building materials and friendly advice? Visit us at Windsor Plywood Leduc, family owned and locally run since 1993. From interior materials for doors, flooring, baseboards, and all the finishing touches to all you need for your outdoor projects like cedar lumber for decks and fences, plus all the plywood you'd need. Our full-time on-staff carpenter can help with anything odd-sized or custom, and from domestic hardwoods to exotic selections, we've got you covered. And if we don't have it, we'll track it down for you. Windsor Plywood Leduc. We're the experts you need to know. All right, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Hope you have a great weekend ahead. Do the clocks go back tomorrow? Mm-hmm. Is that tomorrow before you go to bed Saturday night?
I think technically
they go ahead. They go ahead.
Sunday
it's
at like
2 a.m. So really do it before you go to bed. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lose an hour of sleep tomorrow.
Lose an hour of sleep. I'm going to a wedding tomorrow night. My goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Yeah, I'm missing the Oilers game tomorrow. Keep clicking the thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're on the audio stream, we thank you for participating in the show as well. You can text us 780-218-9999. That is the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. Oilers coming off a win. They host Dallas tomorrow at 8, so 7 o'clock pregame coverage with Tom and Hernan. Do you have something quick, Jay?
Chantel, I just had to read this because this is great. She was listening live. She always listens live from Calgary, but she switched over to YouTube just to give us a thumbs up today, Reid.
We appreciate
Happy Deadline Day Friday from Chantel in Calgary.
All right. Well, it's a happy day for us because we get to have Matt Kassian on our show, Edmonton Sports Talk legend. How's it going, buddy?
It's going, guys. What a chaotic afternoon. Man, I was like, it might be kind of quiet. It seemed to be kind of quiet. And then it was just like everything happened all at once, but not for the Edmonton Oilers, but for everybody else. So, yeah, I mean, hey, it was, it feels like it's been a long time since we saw that many big trades, like big name trades where, we kind of anticipated the Rantanen one might happen. And yeah, maybe Marchand goes, but it's just kind of was like boom, 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 a whole bunch of them. So what a chaotic and exciting day. And a little bit of a light day for the Edmonton Oilers.
I should mention with the Marchand trade, because I've seen some of this discussion on social media as well, because there's been, I still don't think the return is official, but it sounds like it's a second-round pick. He might not play till the postseason. So that's another thing as well. Boston saying like, hey, do you want our captain, this proven playoff performer? And then other teams are saying, sure, but how many games are we getting him for? So remember that, too, if you're underwhelmed when you see that return become official.
But that's not underwhelmed. Because all those teams, like look at Florida, Colorado, all those teams are circumventing the cap with players that are coming in. We have to remember that with those trades as well. So yes, it factors into the return, but we also have to factor in that there's a little bit of an advantage to some of these guys maybe not being ready to go until playoffs because you get some extra cap space, which is as greasy as it gets, but everybody's doing it. So.
Yeah, everybody's doing it, and if they wanted to change the rules, they would. I mean, it's the GMs and the teams who have made this rule. All right, so I think you heard the tail end of our segment where I said, look, Stan Bowman is selling. We have a good team that for significant stretches hasn't played as well as I believe they can, and I've added 2, maybe 3 players, depending on if Jones stays in the NHL, that address some needs. To me, that's what he's selling. Like if I had to boil everything down. Buying that?
Am I buying it? Or is that what he's selling? Is that what he's selling? That's absolutely what he's selling. Am I buying it? Oh, guys, it's like, I get Jake Walman, and I get that maybe you didn't have the prospects to get a Carlo. But boy, would I have liked a Carlo because he clearly was available at the end of the day. And Walman, good. He's having the best season of his career. Does make your defense a little bit better, but it's not quite like the clear, direct, right-handed top 4 guy that we really think that the Edmonton Oilers needed. So I'm not ready to give them a failing grade at the trade deadline, but I'm a little bit disappointed overall with what they're able to do. Now, the two forwards that they bring in Jones and Frederick, like I do like those. I did really like Jones's game yesterday, where he was physical, he was around it, he was gritty in the corners, and that was good. That was good, looked good, happy for it. If he can keep bringing that, he will slide into the lineup more regularly and be able to contribute. And Frederick, hopefully the same thing. So they did address some things with the depth forwards. I don't mind those. I still go to that defense, and I still go, could you have done a little bit more for me than Walman? Maybe. But I guess we will see here, gentlemen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Carlo, 6'5", 220, 9 points. So he's kind of the type of guy now look, I actually am optimistic about Walman. I think, you know what? Nothing wrong with taking one of the best players off a bad team and saying, you know what? You don't have to be the best guy here. Come in and do what you do well and support everybody else. I don't mind that, but I was saying, what if they got somebody who was a big slab of beef and just said, don't worry about getting points? Like, you can go off the glass and out. And that's not, I know all of the guys have puck skills. Like, he's got 9 points. Walman has, 32 or 30. So, there's no comparison. But if they would have got Carlo, and again, he makes a little bit more than Walman. We don't know how far or if those discussions went along. But, yeah, he was more of that's what I called Goudas the other day, right, Jay? The big slab of beef. Carlo's in the... Yeah. He's maybe not, he's hanging in the beef window next to Goudas.
But is this now a clear indication that this team, this organization is focusing on the offensive side of things and saying, you know what, we're going to be in a few shootouts here. We just need to score more goals than them at the end in acquiring another offensive defenseman?
I don't know. And that's where my kind of question goes is okay, where does he regularly slot into the lineup? Particularly on that left side, because that's what Walman typically plays, is it not? I'm not aware of him playing frequently on the right-handed side. If I'm again, and I could be wrong with that, but it's okay, then you got Nurse and you got Ekholm. So how much are you planning on playing this guy and in what capacity? Or is it just to take some pressure off those two guys and let them that right side is still the side that to me needs more help. And that's where it's just I wanted a guy that was naturally on the right side, that plays there typically, that does have that big beefy side, because you don't need more offense from your defenseman. You don't. You need the beef. You need the tough in front of the net. Simple plays in the defensive zone. Yes, smooth at moving the puck to your forwards, but you don't need the offensive world beaters because you have those guys already. So then that's where I'm just kind of I don't know. I know they're looking at it, Jay, you're right. They're looking at it going, this is the offense that we want. We want to be more offensive. We want to drive with speed. We want to create and be smooth. But at the same time, what have we seen these last 2 weeks, if anything, but the Oilers struggling in their own end and struggling on rushes against and struggling with zone entry against. And, how much does Walman help you there? Well, maybe a little bit. I don't know if as much as the Carlo.
Well, look, I'll throw this out there. So Stan Bowman said up front we had kind of the different versions of the same player, So that's why I added Frederick, and that's why I'm taking a chance on Jones. But it seems to me like you're saying, yeah, Stan, but on the back end, you added another version of players you already have.
Yeah.
Or is it just simple enough that he's better than Stetcher and Klingberg, or at least healthier than Klingberg?
Well, he is going to be better than those guys. Don't get me wrong. Their defense is better with him here. They improved their defense. They didn't get worse with his straight. They improved their defense. I just kind of go, well, how much better is it? And yes, you could make the argument that it's going to be better. You can regularly rely on him more than a Stetcher or an Emberson, but I still go on that right side in particular. You still have is gaping hole fair, guys? Is that still a fair word to say that we still need a top 4 defenseman? Is that reasonable, guys? Or do you think that Walman is that guy and is that answer?
I think that Kulak's going to be that guy. I may be proven wrong in about 17 hours when there's a morning skate. I think it's Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Kulak, Walman, Emberson. I think, and he even brought him up today, that Kulak's playing that well and lately playing a lot, that maybe that's what they think, is that he's the top 4 guy and then Walman's the support to that.
Yeah, and he may be. Kulak may be. And, we have seen him play incredibly well in the playoffs. But is he natural on that right side? Like, I still enough. That just is what gets me, is he a guy that plays in that right side? Because I think, can he step into your top 4? Yes, he can. He can do spot duty. He's shown us he can do it. I have my hesitation. But you could be right. And maybe that is how they're looking at it, Reid, is they're looking at it as Kulak as being that guy. Jay, what do you think? What would you do, Jay, if you were Bowman? Would you have settled with this? Is Walman good enough for you? Or are you like me and just grumpy all the time and want to change everything?
No, actually, I'm quite interested to see his defensive upside. Okay, this is a player that plays on the worst team in the NHL in San Jose, yet carries a -1 on his stat line. So obviously, he's capable of playing defense. I think because of his points that are clear and evident, that it's easy to lump him into that offensive defenseman category, which I would say he's directionally closer to. But I still think that there is, what if he comes in here and proves that he is a solid upgrade and he is an actual defenseman, that can contribute. I just think there's upside here. And Kulak can play the right side. And I mentioned this to Reid before. So can Ekholm. He did it in Nashville before. So they've got a couple guys that can swing over to that other side to complement. I just think that was one that, and it wasn't on nobody was talking about Jake Walman before yesterday. That was not a person that was labeled for this team. And I think they're just buying into what they think works best for them, which is offense, which is not really that wrong, right? If you can't fix it entirely and shore up your defense, you might as well add to what you're already good at. So.
All right, more about this. And I want to just remind everybody, because then people are thinking we're disparaging Walman. No, my point about Walman potentially playing with Emberson is that's good. You've had a guy who's played higher up in the lineups on other teams, and he might play lower with the Oilers. That's good. That's how teams are good. Bad teams have players playing too high in the lineup. Good teams have players being asked to do, not to carry all the weight themselves. A player like Frederick, when he's healthy, I seem to feel he's one of those guys. He doesn't score a lot, but he's on the ice. I want to get a story from your career. It doesn't have to be someone you fought or someone who's even a fighter, but those players that it's like, oh crap, this guy's on the ice again. Like he's just such a damn nuisance all the time.
It depends. There are a couple different ways we could go it. I'll go with one of the more fun ones, not necessarily a high quality player, but just to give you an idea of how players can impact the game, even if they're not impacting it from a goal scoring standpoint. There was a guy by the name, and you both might remember him, Francis Lassard was his name. We called him Frankie. And playing against Frankie, he was the type of guy where the second he steps on the ice, your whole bench, being on the other team, is yelling the entire time that he is on the ice. Quite literally, the entire shift that he is on the ice. Because the whole purpose of him being out there is he's just trying to run everybody from behind, or knee somebody, or elbow somebody. Like he's just trying to hurt everybody. Got to the point where once I was starting the game against him, I told him, I'm like, Frankie, the second you try to take a run at someone, I'm just jumping you. Like, so just don't. And he tried to run me, so I had to jump him. Same shift, start of the game. But they force you to be aware to other things that are going on around you. That's what those type of players do. They can drive you absolutely nuts, right? Like they can frustrate you. They can stymie you. They can. Corey Conacher was one actually, and it was before he actually got traded to Ottawa too. When we were in Ottawa, he was with Tampa, and he was just like a little jitterbug out there, like just kind of sticking everyone, chirping everybody, just kind of always in the nitty gritty of it. And he just drove you nuts. It was the same sort of thing where now you're thinking about how I want to cross-check this guy in the face, but I don't want to take a penalty, as opposed to just playing the hockey game. And for the Edmonton Oilers, it's, somewhere in between. He's not a Francis Lassard where he can only skate in straight lines and is just trying to hit people from behind, but he's not a little guy like a Corey Conacher either. So I think is important, especially in the modern NHL where you're not as worried about fighting. You're not. And he doesn't need to go out there and need to fight people. But what he needs to do is he needs to be a problem for the other team. So he needs to be the guy that's just always in somebody's face. He needs to be the guy that's, grabbing one of the other team's skilled players in a scrum after the whistle, not fighting him, but face washing him, giving him a little shot, bugging him, aggrieving him. He needs to be kind of bumping guys in front of the bench, going for a change. Like, he just needs to be as annoying as all get up. And he needs to find ways to emotionally pull this team into the game because they don't or have not had that. Perry tries, and he does his best as an older guy in the league to pull this team into the fight. But you need a guy that sometimes is like, yeah, we're a little quiet. I'm going to go do something dumb, right? I'm going to, this building's a little quiet. Boys aren't feeling it. I'm going to go give Jay a little tap in the family jewels and wake him up a little bit, because now everyone is yelling and excited and forced into it because now the blood pressure of the other team has gone up and it just sucks you guys into it. So it's just, you need to find that as in Frederick, there's a huge opportunity for him here able to do that. Because I do agree with your assessment as well as Bowman's, is that they have too many of the same player in the bottom six. They did not have enough of this little bit of hate that's that you can play with. And likewise, they don't have that on D either, but at least they address the forwards.
All right. Are you on tomorrow night with the guys?
I am not. I am not on tomorrow night. My wife is out of town, so I'm on full daddy duty until the evening. So didn't want to have to drag my kids in behind me, because then we'd hear a lot about things that have nothing to do with hockey. So
mac and cheese and hot dogs, baby.
Yeah, there it is.
Mac and cheese and hot dogs. Yep. Hey, my youngest daughter could eat mac and cheese literally every single day. That kid, she won't eat anything else but mac and cheese. Just devours it.
That's amazing. Okay, thanks for hopping on, Cass. Have a great Friday night. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, fellas. You're the best.
Matt Cassian from Two Guys and a Goalie from the Oil Stream with Tom and Hernan. Love having him on. Good perspective. So he wanted some beef on the back end. And again, I want to clarify here. He thinks Walman's a good player. No one's doubting. Like I saw in the Nasty, it's like, why are you guys idiots? You don't like Walman? No, Walman's very good. Cass was just saying skill set wise, did the Oilers get exactly what they needed back there?
Well, the obvious answer is no. But you get a guy like Walman who, and the other thing too, is he's 29 years old. He's 1 year left on his term, which is a good deal. So you're having something that maybe this is not a rental player, right?
No.
This is a player that's going to be with this team next year. So that is makes it a little easier to handle as well.
Based Ivy in the Nasty Chest says Walman is a minute muncher. My guess is you see him with Nurse first. Nurse naturally works better with a puck mover. Walman is an insane puck mover. And Rip Van Winkle says J. Milne, dope jacket. And
dope.
DT Riley says Walman is a top 4D and young, so he can stay long term. They need a succession plan for an aging Ekholm, and maybe Ekholm is out more games. He's been feeling off for a month now. Keep the comments coming in the Nasty Chat. Text the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox, 780-218-9999. Email Reid at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Keep clicking the thumbs up on YouTube. We are at 139 in an hour. Very, very good. So we will have a word of the day.
100 more.
We want to get a show record. Let's get into the 220s, into the 230s. Don't delay. Click now. Don't be a pleasure delayer. Do it. We got a break.
The Lock Shop.
Liddy Rooney in the Nasty Chat referred to you as Brier Tuck, which is just an all-time handle. The Koob account just tweeted out a Photoshop version of you as Brier Tuck, and you have to go look at this thing right now.
I can't believe they're doing me like
this. The Lock Shop, weekday mornings at 11, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino.
Don't miss the internationally recognized tribute, the Alan Jackson Experience, April 18th at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement? Bet on it.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
Play more tables and games.
Play more tables and games. Make the most of your bad game. Oh, you want to, you need to, you know just what you gotta do. It's time to add some fun to your life. Make the most of your bad game. Play more tables and games. PlayMoreGames.ca.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring the Red Wings on the road to meet the Capitals. Utah, they're going to the Madhouse to face off against the Blackhawks. The Canucks host the Wild, and the St. Louis Blues head to Orange County where the Ducks are waiting for them. The Panthers get another pest to play against in Brad Marchand. The Stars make a splash with Mikko Rantanen and the Johnson extension. The Avs go get Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. The Leafs bring in Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton. The Sens, they have a new look with Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund. To the association, there are 8 games on the hard court, including the Raptors as they welcome the Jazz up north. Miami hosts Minnesota. San Antonio heads to Sacramento. And the Blazers tip off against the Thunder. The Oil Understood. Up next. I'm Brendan Eric. And you're up to date.
Oh, my goodness. We got 155 thumbs in 67 minutes. Keep clicking. Don't wait. Make us feel good going into the weekend. Let's set a new show record. Appreciate your participation. Obviously, a lot to talk about with the trade deadline. Well, I want to dive deeper. Well, Jay does too. We both do. Into the Central Division stuff. Jets, Dallas, Colorado, all beefing up in one way or another. Not just at the deadline, even over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Jamie Thomas will join us at about 4:20 from the Ground Control podcast out of Winnipeg. And 780-218-9999 is how you text the show. River Cree Resort and Casino hotline. River Cree Resort and Casino featuring Italia Restaurant, home of the $6.99 brunch special from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sundays, and continue to email as well, Reid at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Our off-topic topic was, what would the movie title be for the Oilers trade deadline? Try to use a real movie title. Someone said Die Hard because they're going to be out in the first round. Well, actually, the hero in Die Hard survived until the end. So if you're using Die Hard as a title, you should be optimistic about the Oilers.
Poet laureate for the Reid Wilkins Show, William Mike Spear, your curling partner.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, if I was going to come up with a movie title, it would be High Anxiety. Oh, wait. That's actually the movie title for when Evan Bouchard has the puck in his own zone. Sorry, my bad.
I thought Bouchard, well, he got the game winner, which is good. Didn't he have a flub and over? Yeah, there was that face-off the Oilers won, and it looked like they were going to go the other way.
He turned it over twice
and
in
then
that
it's
series.
like, oh, no, Montreal got a couple of chances. But, by the way, Stu Skinner had a very good game. And let's get to that as we dive into the Oil Understood for GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around. From turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors, they are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years, now a partner of Edmonton Sports Talk and the Reid Wilkins Show. GCL Diesel. Diesel. Understood. It might have been the first question he was asked. It was either the first or second question. Stan Bowman was asked, all right, what about goaltending? Why didn't you go out and get a goalie? What's going on there?
I think goaltending, right or wrong, gets the most attention in a game. I think with our two goalies, probably the last stretch hasn't been their best, and that's probably why there's a lot of attention. But I try to look at things over like the bigger sample, and I think so. If you break it up, we had a slow start to our season, our team included. And I think our goalies didn't get out of the gate strong, and then from November until probably the end of January, I thought our goaltending was really solid. I thought it was, and ever since then, it hasn't been as good. So understandable, but I do think that last night's a pretty good reference point. I think that's what we can see. I thought Stu made a lot of saves for us, it's an important position. Absolutely, we're trying to not put so much pressure on them so that they have to save games for us. And I think we did a good job of that as a team for those stretch of months when our goaltending performed well. I think our team did a good job. I think our team game has escaped us a bit over the last probably 5-6 weeks, and as a result, it puts more pressure on your goalies. So I'd like to see both things have a little bit of an uptick, the goalies' performance, both goalies as well as our team, and not putting them in the position to have to save games for us. So,
all right. I thought that was an interesting choice of words early in that when he said he thinks last night's game is a good reference point for the goaltending. Okay? So he thinks that, I guess what he's saying is, in his mind, that's a typical Stuart Skinner type of game.
Yes.
He made some really good saves. The Oilers were also, and he referenced how it all ties together, better defensively. So what did he say? The goaltending wasn't as good lately, and the team game slipped. He believes those things go hand in hand. Oh. And I know that's the ongoing discussion we have. I know somebody's going to put in the nasty chat. They're probably already typing it, and they're probably going to hit send as I say this. Somebody's already typing. It's the goaltender's job to bail out the team when they make mistakes. True. But there are a certain number of mistakes where it just gets absurd after a while. So, but I'm glad Bowman spoke today, because now we get his perspective. So if someone asks us, why did they do that? We can say, well, here's what Stan Bowman said. That's why he did it. You may not like it. You may not agree with it, but that's why he did it. So he believes that Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard are better goaltenders than they've shown, well, probably since we started to see some cracks in the team on that 6-game homestand. Fair?
Yep.
He thinks the team can defend like they did when they went 22-6-1, and therefore the goalies can play like they did when they went 22-6-1. That is his belief. I mean, his job kind of depends on it.
Well, I mean, we've been saying that, Reid. The team in front of the goaltender has been playing uninspired hockey, and that's going to happen. I mean, but you got to say that second goal by Montreal was a gawker by the four defensemen, or the four players on the ice for the Oilers.
There's a 1-on-4 that became a 2-on-4, and the second guy was wide open to take a slap shot from the slot.
Yeah,
that's not good defending.
Breakdowns.
But at the bottom line, like I always, to me, if your goalie allows 2 or less, he's done his job.
Yes.
Unless he's let in both from center or something like that. So that's Bowman's thought process on the goaltending. Mainlander Tim says, do we honestly believe he thinks that, or was there just no better options out there? Well, Mainlander Tim, obviously they're both true. Both the answer is yes to both your questions. I think that is what Stan Bowman thinks. If there was we've said this all along, if there was an obvious better option for the goaltender, you'd probably try to acquire him. Okay, to take it to the extreme, Connor Hellebuck is not available. Okay? Jake Ottinger is not available. So the goaltenders that were available were like, I don't know, maybe Mrazek, maybe Vejmelka before he got locked up. So if like that's what we were saying, and this is what my belief was leading into this deadline, that if you're trading for a goaltender, you were getting someone in Stuart Skinner's class who maybe is just having a slightly better year. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and find me a goaltender that's making 2.6 against the cap that's going to be an improvement on Stu Skinner. Right? These names you're dropping are at a much higher price tag.
Yeah, true.
And there was just no... I mean, there was $300,000 left to play with at the end of the day before they sent Dineen down.
Right.
So your hands are somewhat tied. And I if the team...
But that's his own fault, Jay.
Sorry. I'm going to leave now. There it is, baby.
All right. Anyway, so a little bit there from Stan Bowman on the goaltending. The Oil understood for GCL Diesel. A little bit more here, Bowman, on Jake Walman.
Yeah, I think Walman's a really big upgrade for our group. He's somebody that we've talked about going back to the middle of the year as a big target. And, I've been Mike Greer's probably tired of talking to me about him because I've been told a long time that he wouldn't trade him. Not going to trade him. He's got another year. I don't have to trade him. We just kind of stuck with it. And then the other day when we pitched it to him, I think we got his attention and we eventually got it, to where he came in. So I think that's a big piece that we're excited about.
So he had interest in Walman for a while. So he finally gave Mike Greer a deal that he thought was good, Berglund and the first rounder in 2026. So that's how they got Walman. Again, I think Walman's going to be good. Zach Cassian thinks Walman's going to be good, has a good skill set. He wonders if that's the exact skill set the Oilers needed on the back end. Time will tell. I think Cass is quite on board with getting a guy like Frederick up front, quite frankly.
Well, and Cass would be because that's the kind of role he would have played on a team. Physical, tough, and hard to compete against. So, and clearly that is something the Oilers need. It's just where does Trent Frederick fit in? It's hard to exactly say right now. I mean, would he be an upgrade on Podkolzin, on Arvidsson?
Yes.
Right?
Well, I don't even know how to define Arvidsson anymore.
True enough.
Actually, I thought he played okay last night.
Yep. He was noticeable.
Right.
Which says a lot about how he's been playing recently.
Right. I mean, that he actually got a couple shots away and made a couple passes that kept plays alive.
I wonder how Podkolzin's back is doing today.
From the cross-check?
From the multiple cross-checks he took from
like
David
that,
Savard.
Isn't that, like, that's what bugs me about hockey sometimes. You can cross-check a guy in the back and then stand over top of him and punch him numerous times in the head after you've knocked him down. And the refs are just like, yeah, but it happened in front of the net, so it's fine.
And a defenseless player. He wasn't getting up trying to get back into the play. He had already succumbed to the first blow, and it's okay, I'm good. Bam, bam,
Right.
and then a shot to the head.
No, but here's the thing. Maybe like a player like Frederick, he might do something about that at some point in the game. Or if he's on the ice, he might get in there. And like, you can't retaliate to everything or risk taking penalties. But what has been said about the Oilers? Well, they need, the stars can't always stand up for themselves. Like
Nobody did anything about that. Nobody even skated up to him and chopped him in the leg.
Yeah, and then there was a time later in the game. Remember, I think it was Evans in the third period kind of took a hack at Skinner after the puck was covered.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which Oiler defenseman it was. Like, went like he was going to shove him after the whistle and then didn't do anything. I was like, why is he not pushed back into the glass after that?
If Trent Frederick can bring 20% of that kind of play, then welcome to Edmonton, big boy, because that is very much so needed. Okay, if Podkolzin stood up after that and two-fisted and right into Savard's face and penalty, probably a match penalty, would you?
Well, or even just punches him, and then the ref would just say, okay, it's both guys.
But because he would have taken both.
In that case, it was just like, I won't do anything.
He would have had no choice but to take both.
Right. Okay. 780-218-9999 is how you get us on the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. You can keep your chat coming. A lot of people I'm not going to read everything in the nasty chat. I know some people now are replying to something I said, but we can't possibly I can't possibly go back and forth with everybody. I just accept that some of you think I'm an a-hole, and that's fine.
I don't, just for the record.
Jamie Thomas is an angel. He's coming up.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring the Red Wings on the road to meet the Capitals. Winnipeg heads to New Jersey, and the Golden Knights welcome Sidney Crosby and the Penguins to town in the late window. The Panthers get a pest in the name of Brad Marchand to play with the rest of that group. The Stars make a splash with Mikko Rantanen and the Johnson extension. The Avs grab Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. The Leafs, they bring in Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton, and the Sens get a new look with Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund. To the association, there are 8 games on the hard court, including the Raptors, who welcome the Jazz up north. Memphis, they take off for Dallas, and the Clippers see the Knickerbockers on the back half of 2 in LA. And over to the NFL, there's a little news that isn't going to sneak by. The Commanders re-signed Bobby Wagner to a one-year deal worth $9.5 million. This sports update is brought to you by Find Edmonton. Find takes your unused furniture and homeless goods to help those moving out of homelessness. Get donations picked up or drop them off free of charge. Find out how you can make an impact at findedmonton.com or call them at 780-988-1717. That is 780-988-1717. Jamie Thomas after the break. I'm Bert and Eric, and you're up to date.
Love is in the air.
I love you.
And you? And you? And you! Why choose between your beloved items? Sentinel Storage, keeping your treasures safe to be loved again. Try 4 weeks free. Details at sentinelstorage.ca.
Got some gently used furniture or home goods that need a new home? Find Edmonton is here to help. Every month we furnish over 100 homes to those transitioning out of homelessness, and we need your gently used furniture and home goods. Drop off at 5120 122nd Street or call for free local pickup. Just visit findedmonton.com to learn how your donations can help create a home for someone in need. Plus shop our thrift store, in-store or online, with proceeds benefit those moving out of homelessness through housing supports. Visit us at findedmonton.com. Find Edmonton, supporting our community one home at a time.
Missing the course? The Canadian Ice House is here to keep your skills sharp. Trackman golf simulators are open. Real golf action right in downtown Edmonton. Don't let the off-season slow you down. Visit us in-store or check out thecanadianicehouse.com for all the details.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino. Don't miss the internationally recognized tribute, the Alan Jackson Experience, April 18th at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement? Bet on it.
Tommy Gunn's Barbershop is more than just a barbershop. It's a top-notch, tailor-made experience from check-in to check-out. Get a precision haircut, a classic shave, or a facial to step up your style. Just walk in, relax, and let Tommy Gunn's take it from there. Find comfort in knowing their team follows the code, which is their commitment to care for you as a customer. Check out Tommy Gunn's today, in-store or online at TommyGuns.com to bring out the best in you. Tommy Guns, where every cut is done right every time.
All right, so this from Frank Saravelli's Twitter account, that Bruins GM Don Sweeney has said that the Bruins are getting from Florida for Brad Marchand a conditional 2027 second-round pick. If Marchand plays in 25% or more of Florida's games over the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, the pick becomes a 2028 first-rounder.
Can you repeat that quickly? Sorry.
Yes. If Marchand plays in 25% or more of Florida's games over the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, the pick becomes a 2028 first-round pick.
From what's it right now?
Right now, it's a 2027 second-rounder. So they would go from a second. So if Marchand is healthy, he's clearly going to play in 1 quarter or more of Florida's playoff games.
But they have to make it to the second round?
It just says over the first 2 rounds. So I would think that would not matter. It's just anything in one of the first 2 rounds. But yeah, Marchand might not be playing until close to the playoffs. That was a big one today. Of course, the Oilers did something after last night's game, getting Jake Walman, Trent Frederick, and Max Jones acquired earlier in the week. Max Jones played last night. I thought he played pretty well. Vegas, they made a couple of moves. LA looking once again like a first-round opponent, but really it was the Central Division, in my mind, grabbing the headlines. I guess you could say the Central Division is fired up for Gemco Fireplaces, proudly serving Edmonton and area for 45 years, the authorized dealer for Napoleon fireplaces. Whether it's gas or wood burning, look no further than Canadian-made Napoleon fireplaces. All the Napoleon products you need are available at Gemco, 9281 50th Street. All right. He's in Winnipeg. He's the host of the Ground Control podcast. He's a fine gentleman, and he obviously has a close eye on what's going on with the Winnipeg Jets and their rivals. It's our buddy Jamie Thomas checking in. Jamie, how are you doing?
Great. How about you guys?
Doing great. It's nice to see you, especially I know you're on the road with the team, but you got a Jets game to watch in about 35 minutes?
My favorite part was you asked me, is it too close to the game? I'm like, yeah, I'm at home, man.
I know.
I appreciate it.
Maybe you're getting focused.
Yeah, true. I got to watch this game 40 minutes, man. I don't know if I can do this show.
I just want to say I'm glad to see you in such a positive light. You look like your surroundings are a little bit more fair and equitable than they were last time you were on our show, which appeared to be from some sort of a bunker in Boston at the Four Nations face-off. So I'm just happy for you. I'm happy you're doing well. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Listen, my wife still doesn't know that I was under questioning in Boston, so we got to keep that on the down low.
Oh, yeah, I was away that day. Yeah, I think I heard that, but I didn't see it. So
the lighting was terrible.
I'm glad you're well too. Let's start with the Jets getting Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev. How are these guys going to fit into an already very good team? Well, an already excellent team.
Yeah, and I think, there was a lot of sexy additions to a lot of teams in the NHL today. And maybe some people will look at what Winnipeg did today as kind of not enough. I beg to differ. I think when you're the best team in the National Hockey League, everyone else is chasing to catch up to you in terms of depth, and that's what Colorado did. Clearly, Dallas made a big move today with Mikko Rantanen. But with Brandon Tanev and Luke Schenn, you've added much-needed grit. You've added much-needed toughness. You've added 2 guys. First off, we'll start with Luke Schenn. He's going to help. He's going to solidify your third defense pairing. He's going to kill penalties for you. Same with Brandon Tanev. Tanev adds speed. He adds familiar. Clearly, he's played and had success here in Winnipeg already. He was part of that team that went to the Western Conference Final in 2018 and has chemistry already with Adam Lowry. So you've as I said, you added some toughness, you had some grit, you've had some speed. Tanev's an excellent penalty killer as well. That is one area where the Jets have been inconsistent this year, is killing penalties. And that's kind of being nitpicky, I guess, in some ways, because of you have the best goaltender in the world. That is your big point, your strong point in terms of the penalty killing department. But they needed some guys that had proven grit, know how to play the game when it gets a little bit tighter the way it does right now and leading up to the playoffs. And they've done that with Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev.
Yeah, I think Luke Schenn is a great pickup. I know a couple of years the Oilers wound up getting Ekholm, which has been great, but it looked like for a while they were going to get more of just sort of, a Luke Schenn type. And I was like, why not Luke Schenn himself? But Ekholm's been great. But I like the pickup of both those guys. So, look, Dallas Rantanen, and then don't forget getting Granlund and Ceci about a month ago. That's part of the ramp up. Colorado, again, going back to the first time Rantanen got traded this year. Drury, Natchez.
That's so wild.
VC, Lindgren, Brock Nelson, and Charlie Coyle. So, and
you have two new goaltenders basically essentially since the beginning part of the year.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, Colorado's changed almost half their team. So
and so like I started to cut you off, my friend. Here's the thing I have with Colorado. Colorado had to make those moves because they are not nearly as deep as Dallas, or we're not nearly as deep as Dallas, and we're not nearly as deep as Winnipeg. They had to help their goaltending department because Georgiev was a disaster outside of the 5 games he played, the 4 games that he won against the Jets in the opening round last year. My question is with Colorado, and much like Nashville adds a bunch of new players in the offseason. And I'm not saying this is going to happen in Colorado. I just don't understand how you bring that many new faces in, get them acclimated, get them used to a new system. And I know the star players carry everything for Colorado, everybody just follows along. I just don't know. I don't understand that. But they are deeper up the middle. They've improved on the blue line on paper. But here's the thing that's going to happen. Those 3 teams are fighting clearly for first place in the division. We'll just say Dallas and Winnipeg. It is imperative that you finish in first in the Central because you're facing either Dallas or Colorado in the first round of the playoffs. That's not going to be fun at all. And so Winnipeg has a 6-point lead now. Dallas has a game in hand. Dallas is here this upcoming Friday, not today, but a week from today, in an incredibly critical game. But like you said here, it's a Central arms race. That's all this has been. It has been fascinating to watch. I don't know how Mikko Rantanen didn't fit in with Carolina. That blows me away. Like Sebastian Aho and him have a great friendship going back to the World Juniors. Clearly, they're from Finland. I just don't understand how that didn't work out. So if it didn't work out in such a short time, how's it going to work out in Dallas? That being said, Dallas is huge. They got a little bit bigger on the right side of the roster. And Cody Ceci clearly helps out a little bit. And Granlund's aggressive as it is. Dallas to me is the main contender for Winnipeg in the Central. Clearly, Colorado could cause some problems later, but Dallas has the proven goaltender and Jake Ottinger. They're deep all the way through. The Central is going to be fascinating to watch here down the stretch run here, and it's like I said, it's a huge game here in Winnipeg on Friday with Dallas coming to town.
Winnipeg does have a 6-point lead on Dallas with 19 games left. Dallas has 20 games left. I say this all the time. Once you're into March, I think it's hard to make up more than 4 points.
It's extremely challenging.
Yeah, and you don't expect either of those teams to drop off. But that isn't. I guess maybe we're forgetting about Minnesota in there. But I mean, Minnesota. This is the crazy thing about Minnesota. Minnesota has a .613 points percentage. They have a -2 goal differential.
Right.
And it looks like one of Calgary or Vancouver will make the playoffs, and they're pretty much guaranteed to have a minus goal differential. Maybe Minnesota makes it up. This is a side note that just kind of defies logic a little bit. All right. So thanks for breaking that down. That's an interesting race. What was your outside perspective of what the Oilers did or perhaps didn't do here over the last week?
Well, all you're hearing is how they have to prove on the back end, and they did. They got, they added some size up front too. Here's the thing: Edmonton was 1 win away from the Stanley Cup final, or winning the Stanley Cup last year. They've had some ups and downs. They had some tough times through coming out of the Four Nations face-off. I'm not buying it. This team will get it together. It's easy to dogpile on teams and say, "Oh, they have to do this." They don't have to do anything. You have experience that you went through last year, and you understand the grind of what all these games in February and March mean. Yes, you want positioning, but once you get into playoffs, the Oilers are battle tested. There's enough grit in that room. They have done everything except win the Stanley Cup. Then that's how close they were. They have 2 of the world's best players. We keep talking about Stuart Skinner. It's ridiculous. He also took them within 1 win of the Stanley Cup last year. So they've done enough in my eyes. Whether or not Evander Kane fits in this all afterwards, but that's a pretty darn good addition when the playoffs start, a la Mark Stone. So I don't understand people questioning what they have or what they are after what they proved last year. This is not 2006, which was a total fluke that they got to the Stanley Cup final. This is the best player in the world getting that close to winning the Stanley Cup, also scoring the game-winning goal in the Four Nations face-off, the Edmonton Oilers are going to be just fine. And I hope it's Vegas and them in the second round, please, for all those walking outside. For the entertainment factor alone, that has to happen. So it is whatever it is. Edmonton finished first, Vegas finished first. Doesn't matter. I just want those two to meet up in the second round of the playoffs.
Jamie Thomas joining us here. Jamie, you're a smart guy.
I hope so.
You're put together. You're with it.
Yeah.
I want to get your
Thank
take
you.
on this.
Okay.
This Rantanen deal, $12 million, 8 years. Looking at this, there's been some discussion, okay, about, well, it's because it's in Dallas and there's no state tax in Dallas.
Yeah.
So I looked at that. In Colorado, there's a 4.63% tax. And obviously there's the jock tax, which when you play a game out of province or out of state where they have taxes, you pay taxes there.
Right.
But still, Rantanen is going to be taking home an extra $455,000 per year by playing in Dallas, which over that 8 years is $3.64 million extra, just because he plays in the state of Texas.
Right.
Is this something that the NHL needs to look at? I mean, because Florida's doing it too, and Nevada has the same laws as well. If it came down to that between Colorado and Dallas, that is not a fair marketplace, at least in my opinion. What's your take on that?
Okay, so it's funny you mentioned that. There's a podcast out there, and I'm trying to remember the agent that's on it, and they talked to a tax expert, and they said essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, there are ways around everything that each of these players, that this whole idea that it's easier, it's better to play in Florida, it's better to play in Tennessee. They said that's kind of pretty much a myth with the way there's enough smart people out there where they can move things around that you're not paying all this stuff and that there's not this discount. The podcast is, I'll read once I find it, I'll send you the link for it. I listened to the podcast. It's very interesting as a tax expert and dealing with athletes, of course. These guys know what to do in order to hide their money or whatever it is they're doing. I don't want to say exactly what it is, but I think I don't think it's a problem. It just looks like a problem. If you want to win, look a little further than this two cities that we reside in. It's not even tax related. It's the weather. It's this. There's always some excuse not to play someplace. And listen, if I was 30 years old and I could wanted to play in Florida, I would come up with some excuse. It's the taxes or whatever. But listen, being out in the sun in February and January instead of the snow, very appealing to me, certainly this stage of my life. If you want to win, I don't know what went wrong in Carolina with Mikko Rantanen. I don't understand what the amount of money that he was offered and why he didn't take it. It's totally bizarre to me. Only Mikko Rantanen knows these things. So it's a long-winded way of saying I don't think there's a problem. It's just if a player doesn't want to be somewhere, there's always some type of excuse from the agent or from the player of why they didn't want to be there, and it's easy to blow it off to this or whatever. What really is $450,000 when it comes to $12 million? I don't know. I've never made that much money, but if that's remember when Ryan Smith was negotiating, was it like a minimal amount? Yeah. So come on, I'm of course I'm dating myself. I'm dating you guys on that one, but that's pretty silly that you can't figure it out over $100,000. So there's the idea is that there's an advantage for certain places. I don't know, but if it's a winning organization, I don't think it should matter where you are.
Well, and that's why I wanted to ask you. I figured, smart, good-looking guy like you would have it all sorted out.
Thanks, Jay. Jay, listen, I'm going to come on the show all the time now because you know the right things to say. Reid knows talk Star Wars to me. You know what I hit, like the ego. It's perfect. Thank you. So I'm in. Count me in every week for free.
We looked yesterday at the Oilers' remaining strength of schedule. Have you looked into Winnipeg's strength of schedule? The way I see it is Winnipeg's got the 5th hardest strength of schedule remaining out of the 32 teams.
Right.
Colorado and Dallas are 12th and 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think these are the guns brought in to get over the finish line? Because you're right. You have to win that Central Division. Otherwise, you know that's going to be a bloodbath. But that could also work
who
out
knows? Right. And I think so. It's easy to look at strength and schedule, but what I'll look at is the Jets' consistency. Like they've had 3 losing streaks of 3 or more games this year. That's it. Like lots of teams would kill to have that. They have an 11-game win streak. They have 2 8-game win streaks. So it's just flat out, this team knows when they don't let things get bad for an extended period of time. They know how to lock things down. And these two guys have just added, first off, all the stuff I said, but also character people. You didn't want to ruin the chemistry that they have worked so hard to rebuild inside that locker room. It's hard to tell somebody, okay, listen, you guys have been sitting near the top or first, but we're going to move certain guys out of the room because we want to win. You got to add to it. And they've done that with 2 character guys. Anytime you bring a Prairie guy into the whole scheme of things, we all know that's the right thing to do. And then speaking of Brandon Tanev, just a guy that I remember Paul Maurice said when he was still coaching here, every time Brandon Tanev came back to the bench, he was bleeding. The guy will dive in front of pucks. He will do anything in his power to make sure shots do not get through to the net. And what more could you ask for than a guy like that on your roster? And that's who the Jets have re-added from the trade deadline today.
Jamie, this was outstanding. We'll let you get into your final preparations for the Jets game in New Jersey.
Thank you for allowing me the time to prepare to watch the game. Yeah. What couch will I watch it on? Will I watch on the full couch or will I go in the love seat on the floor? I don't know. That's why I need this extra 20 minutes, and I appreciate you bringing me on.
Hey, it's great to have you. Talk to you soon, my friend.
See you later, guys.
Jamie Thomas out of Winnipeg, the Ground Control podcast. We wanted to get that perspective as well because it is interesting with the Jets up there at the top of the West and Dallas and Colorado clearly trying to prepare to face Winnipeg, but likely first each other in the postseason.
The official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets.
The official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes.
Pardon me. Pardon me. Got a limerick here from the Big Uke. A day where players on the move, many teams trying to find their groove. Walman's here, playoffs near. When playing the game, what's your first chess move? Wow. I don't know, actually.
When you're playing chess?
I haven't played chess in years.
Well, it's a pawn.
You move it, well, you can jump out with the...
you never delete that, do you?
Is that, what are they called? The rooks? No, the rooks are in the corner. Just the knights.
The knights?
The knights.
Got to be a pawn play.
A little bit more from Stan Bowman as we move along. More of your feedback is welcome as well. And if you're taking in the show on YouTube, you can talk with each other in the nasty chat. And remember, hit the thumbs up button.
Click, click, click. Must you click? Please, please click. Must you click? You must click. Thumb, thumb, thumb.
We're well over 155, so we will have a double word of the day. We're almost at 200.
Let's go
I think if we get to 230, we got a show record, right?
Yeah, and then Brendan asks us the third word of the day.
Oh, then he gives us the
bonus.
And I think Trev said, how many subscriptions are we at on YouTube?
We're at 11.4 now.
We did get to 11.4.
Yeah, so keep going. If you haven't subscribed, let's hammer that subscription.
Don't wait. Tell a couple people about it as well to check out the show. We've done a great job with trade deadline coverage, live and local, since 6 a.m. We're with you until 6 o'clock. We got buying or selling from Damon Bunting when we get back.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring Utah as they head to the Madhouse to face off against the Blackhawks. The Canucks host the Wild. St. Louis heads to Orange County where the Ducks are waiting. The Central is showed up for the deadline as the Stars make the biggest splash, grabbing Mikko Rantanen and extending him by $96 million over 8 years. Wyatt Johnson also getting an 8-year deal himself. The Habs grab Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. And then the Jets, they add 2 vets in Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev. Other moves include the Senators. They go grab Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund as they send out Josh Norris, Jacob Bernard-Docker, Zach Osepchuk, and more. Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton, they're Leafs, and the return is in. It's a conditional pick, but bottom line is the Panthers go get Brad Marchand. To the association, there are 8 games on the hard court, including the Raptors welcoming the Jazz to the north. The Hornets, they host the Cavs. The Suns head to Denver as they get the Nuggets. This sports update is brought to you by Windsor Plywood Leduc, locally owned and operated, serving Leduc and surrounding areas since '93. Doors, flooring, baseboards, and of course, plywood. Go see the knowledgeable staff at Windsor Plywood Leduc. Buying or selling is next. I'm Brendan Eric. You're up to date.
Get your fix every single game with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas. Whether it's breaking down the starting lineup, predicting key matchups, or diving deep into the game's biggest moments, Tom and Hernan are here to give you the best insight and analysis in the city. After the final horn, get the breakdown of every key moment, performance, and player reactions. It's your one-stop shop for all things game day. Catch the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Take your career to the next level with Nate's Construction Leadership and Supervision Program, a perfect tool for professionals looking to advance their role or an organization needing to develop leaders. Learn more about safety supervision, scheduling, cost control, and most importantly, how to lead a team. For more information and to register, visit nate.ca/CLSP to take your career to another level.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
At the Brier this afternoon, Kubusch beat Jacobs 7-4. Several Edmonton area connections on that team, most notably Mark Kennedy, the third for Jacobs, Brendan Botcher, the second for Kubusch, and also Dunstone out of Manitoba beat McEwen out of Saskatchewan 6-5. So that means those teams go to the 1-2 page playoff game. Now, McEwen will play Carruthers and Jacobs will play Nova Scotia to get into the 3-4 page playoff game. So it's a sudden death game to get into another sudden death game while the Canada-Manitoba got to a second life game. Right? More or less?
More or less.
Close enough.
I think we should be, I don't think Sammy Hagar should be reserved for just 155 likes. I think today, if any day, in celebration of NHL trade deadline, we should go for 200
Let's try to do it. Good audience today. Thanks for
why not, right?
Thanks for tuning in to us. Probably some people checking out Edmonton Sports Talk for the first time today, not just on YouTube, where you can give us a thumbs up, also on the TuneIn Radio app, on the iHeartRadio app. Also, remember to subscribe to the Reid Wilkins Show, to the Nielsen Show, to EST Afternoons with Hernan and Gager, to the Oil Stream, to Two Dies and a Goalie, to the Hangout, all our great shows. Subscribe to those wherever you get your podcasts, and we will keep you covered. Portions of this hour, by the way, presented by Canadian Brewhouse. It's time for a wing throwdown at the Canadian Brewhouse. Fuego Verde versus Honey Blaze. Who's taking the crown? Hit up the Canadian Brewhouse for wing night. Our house is your house. All right, Stan Bowman, Oilers GM, addressing the media today, taking questions. And he elaborated a little bit on Evander Kane. Here's the statement the Oilers put out regarding Evander Kane. After further consultation with team medical staff, it's been determined that forward Evander Kane will not be ready to return to action for the remainder of the 2024-25 regular season. As a result, he will remain on long-term injured reserve. Here is Bowman.
Well, I think a healthy Evander Kane is it's such a. I'm trying to think of how many guys are like him in the league. There's probably a handful that can play like him with his size, his scoring ability, his intensity, his physicality, intimidation. Pretty small list of guys when he's back healthy, playing at that level. So without a doubt, we want to get him there. And I think the biggest thing is when he's able to play at that level, and he's fully healed, he's ready. So I do expect him to be back at some point. We don't exactly know when that will be. It's not going to be in the regular season. Will it be at the start of the playoffs? I don't know. I think if we can play long enough, he will definitely be back playing for us this year.
Okay. So he won't play in the regular season. And Bowman said if we play long enough, he'll definitely be back. So we don't really know, as this is buying or selling for Damon Bunting, a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com. Instagram handle, Damon Bunting Real Estate. There was another question about Evander Kane, and Bowman dove into that. It was just sort of more on Kane's timeline, like when the Oilers determined that he wouldn't be available until the start of the playoffs at the very earliest, and how difficult it's been for them to deal with their uncertainty about Kane's status.
Very recently, we finally, the goal all along was to try to give as much time as we could for our doctors and our staff to assess his readiness to return. Because some of the complicating factors with Evander is it's not like he has a broken bone where it's pretty obvious. You take an x-ray and you say, okay, it's healed or it's not healed, and the return to play is a little bit more concrete. This situation is different. He had very involved double surgery, and then he had the knee procedure in January, which was really a non. It wasn't like an injury per se. It was just something he had to get cleaned up. But it did set back sort of his training, because when you go through a big surgery like Evander did, there's a couple of phases to it. There's just getting back to doing regular things, and then you could progress that into start to heal and then train, and then now he's beyond all that. Like, he's doing well, but now you got to get into the performance side of it, where you've got to really ramp yourself up to be ready to play in an NHL game where the intensity is super high. So, there's certain milestones you have to hit. Now that we know where we are and how much time is left, he's not going to be able to close that gap in that amount of time. So it's still not exactly known. It's not like we know he's going to be ready by this date. We just know he's not going to be ready by the end of the regular season, which is why it became clear that we had to, look at improving our team a different way, because he's not going to be coming back in that time period.
All right. I know that's a longer answer, but he said some important stuff and sort of outlined, okay, this is surgery, then another surgery, so he's got to be game ready. And he said it's near the end there, he said it's not exactly known when Evander Kane is going to be ready. They just know he won't be ready before the end of the regular season, or really even the start of the playoffs. Like, I don't think this is a case where Evander Kane is in game one of the first round. Is that the impression you got?
Well, yeah, and would you want to throw him in game one of the first round of the playoffs if he hasn't been, if he's not game ready? It's not like you just come back from this and say, okay, I'm ready to go. Because although there is a window that you could probably loan him to Bakersfield for a conditioning stint, I don't believe that's going to happen. So you're going to have to get Evander Kane up to speed. Now that's my buying or selling to you, Reid. Do you think Evander Kane will play this season?
If I had to answer yes or no?
Yes or no?
No.
Selling.
Yes, so I'm selling. Here's the thing. He's not going to be ready for the start of the playoffs. Okay? the further the Oilers go, the more likely it gets that Evander Kane plays. Correct? I did not pick the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the season, nor would I pick them right now. Also, as I've said, there just seems to be, something will come up. He had one surgery, then he had this other surgery. The team doesn't know the exact timeline. Kane isn't quite ready yet. When is he going to feel ready? Do you want to throw a guy into the playoffs who's not 100% ready? That's going to be extremely difficult to do. So if you had to ask me that I had to make a black or white decision, that's what I would say. I would say that I'm going to go with what I said in September, where I had a strong suspicion that Evander Kane might not play another game for this team. I still think that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I would then be confused if, and Oiler fans would probably be confused as well. There's been so much attention throughout this process. I mean, when he had the scope earlier this year, there was the media avail on Zoom, right? Where, this came up, but no, I'll be back. Intentions have been, but maybe you're right, Reid, because everything that's been said has always constantly gotten pushed back.
Right.
For some rhyme or reason.
That's a good way to sum it up. If the timeline always seems to be getting pushed back. So it wouldn't surprise me if that happens again.
And Bowman did not at all put a timeline on this. The only thing he said was that, and obviously with the LTIR play, he will not be playing in the regular season.
Right.
And if we play good enough to move through the playoffs, you might see him. Right? You might. I don't know. I just, that is such a mystery. I mean, if Evander Kane doesn't play at all this year, what happens then next year?
Well, I think in the summer he'll be traded or bought out. Really. I mean, to be blunt about it.
Yeah. Well, I think so, because then there's just no it seems like this is happening, butting heads. Like there's no, hey, let's work together on this. Evander, we really want you here. We want you to be a part of this. I get the sense that just is two parties that aren't seeing eye to eye. And let's be honest, Reid. I mean, has Evander Kane been known as a church boy throughout his career? No. He's been a pain in the ass of every organization he's been involved with. And I mean, I just don't. Are we seeing that right now in the flesh?
I don't know if they're butting heads. I'm just saying he's not ready. He had a surgery. Then we heard that he had another surgery with an indefinite timeline. Now we're hearing from the GM saying that it's still really an indefinite timeline, except that we know he won't be able to play in the regular season. And then Bowman says the longer we go into the playoffs, the more chance there is of him playing. Well, how long do they have to go? What if they're out in the first round? Are we going to see him? Probably not. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, I think we may not see him the entire year. Just saying.
And I think that's part of the problem here, Reid, is that Oilers fans think and are reminded of playoff Evander Kane, right? And how dominating he can be.
Well, against Calgary in that one round, for sure. Yeah.
For sure. And that's exciting to say, oh, imagine if that player could come back. Well, there's so many questions surrounding that now. Maybe even more than ever with this statement that was released today.
So Kane, the Oilers added in the statement, Kane underwent successful abdominal surgery last September. His rehabilitation continues to take place in Edmonton under the supervision of the club's medical staff. But we got an update today. At least we got more information. We know that he's not going to play in the regular season, which resumes tomorrow night for the Edmonton Oilers at Rogers Place, 8 o'clock game against the Dallas Stars, who got Rantanen today and signed him to a new deal. 8 o'clock game, 7 o'clock for the Oil Stream GCL Diesel pregame show with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Okay, a little more from Stan Bowman. Of course, plenty of time to chat with all of you as well. If you're watching on YouTube, continue to give us that thumbs up button. We are about 24 away from a new show record, and then we'll see also if we can get to 200 and... We also are going to have, we were hoping to do this the other day. We had to push it back. We got a ghost story from the slopes from Brian Road as well for the Marmot Basin Ski Report. We got a break, and then we got Brendan with an update.
The EST Hangout.
I thought you were being positive.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I completely agree. He was on a really bad Jets team. His coach didn't really understand the offense or which style of offense that Aaron Rodgers needed to succeed.
That was very well done, but somebody needs to get you a breath mint because there's so much crap coming out of your mouth.
The EST Hangout, presented by Sentinel Storage. Weekday mornings 9 to 11, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Wholesat, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
At Mind360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment today.
Looking for quality building materials and friendly advice? Visit us at Windsor Plywood Leduc, family owned and locally run since 1993. From interior materials for doors, flooring, baseboards, and all the finishing touches to all you need for your outdoor projects like cedar lumber for decks and fences, plus all the plywood you'd need. Our full-time on-staff carpenter can help with anything odd-sized or custom, and from domestic hardwoods to exotic selections, we've got you covered. And if we don't have it, we'll track it down for you. Windsor Plywood Leduc. We're the experts you need to know.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring the Red Wings on the road to meet the Capitals. Winnipeg heads to New Jersey, and the Golden Knights get Sid and the Pens in the late window. The Panthers, they get another pest in the name of Brad Marchand. The Stars, they make a splash with Mikko Rantanen. The Avs, they go grab Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. The Leafs, they bring in Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton. And the Sens, they have a new look with Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund. To the association, there are 8 games on the hard court, including the Raptors welcoming the Jazz up north. Miami hosts Minnesota. San Antonio heads to Sacramento, and the Blazers, they tip off against the Thunder. A little NFL news that's not going to get by. The Commanders, they re-signed linebacker Bobby Wagner to a 1-year deal worth $9.5 million. Game of the night comes at you now. I'm Bert and Eric, and you're up to date.
Oh, happy Friday, everybody. Yeah, Brandon Tanev looks like he's in action for the Jets, and I think Jamie's texted me. Yeah, Brandon Tanev in on the 4th line for the Winnipeg Jets. What do we have on the ESTV here?
What is it?
Capitals and... Who's playing? Capitals and Red Wings.
Yeah.
All right, we got 6 games tonight in the NHL. Reid Wilkins, Jay Milne with you. By the way, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate everybody coming to the station today for your trade deadline conversation updates. We had an extended edition of the Oil Stream. They went 11 until 1 instead of noon to 1. I jumped on that for a bit. Gager, Hernan as well with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola. It's Tom Gazzola, right? Or is it Tony Gonzola? I'm not sure anymore.
Reid.
I'm just being cheeky.
Tony Gondola.
Yes, that's what it was. Give us the thumbs up on YouTube. We're about, what are we, about 20 away from a new show record for a live show?
We're 10 away 11 away for a new live show record, but we're gunning for 255.
We're gunning for 255. So give us the thumbs up. And remember, if you're checking out Edmonton Sports Talk or if you're a loyal listener, tell other people about the station.
When I first tried Fabergé Organic Shampoo with pure wheat germ oil and honey, it was so good I told 2 friends about it, and they told 2 friends, and so on, and so on, and so on.
So just sub in the part where she's talking about the shampoo and say Edmonton Sports Talk instead. And tell 2 friends, and then they tell 2 friends, and then they tell 2 friends.
And so on.
Yes.
So on.
You could have voiced that yourself.
Reid, I know we're going to get to Game of the Night, which we will. But I wanted to ask you a question about this, and this comes back to Jake Walman, okay? Leon's body language text into the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. And by the way, send us your grades. Give us a grade, letters A, B, C. We did it around the office today. I think the general consensus was around a B minus, C plus kind of range, if I could, take the mean average of them. Reid, I love hearing you on EST. Don't know much about Walman. Could you compare him to another similar D-man, past or present?
That's a good question. Dare I say Clefbaum?
Well, that was suggested yesterday that this could be another version of Oscar Clefbaum, which would be great.
Yeah.
Was Clefbaum not a bit bigger?
Yeah, I think Clefbaum was 6'3", wasn't he? Well, he still is. I don't think he's shrunk.
He may have.
Walman, they got his 6'1", about 220. I told you Clefbaum was waiting for the guys when they came off the ice yesterday in the dressing room. Like when they go through past where they leave their sticks and then veer off to go into the dressing room. He was there with Ekholm and Trent Frederick. Yeah, Clefbaum 6'3", about 215. I'm just thinking, yeah, like similar-ish stats. Clefbaum, by the end, well, he didn't get a lot of points early in his career. A little over half a point per game in his last season. That's just the first person that came to mind. I mean, Clefbaum wasn't overly physical or anything like that, but he got the puck up the ice. He could play on the power play. He had a decent shot. Those are kind of the things that we're hearing about Walman. Now, that's just off the top of my head to answer that question. Peter says Jeff Petrie. Well, I was thinking I went with a left shot.
Haji chimed in, says the whole team can play better than they are. The Oilers had the best record in the league for a third of the season. It will all depend on what version shows up for the playoffs. That said, I believe that Oilers management didn't make as big of a splash as they would have liked to, especially considering the extra cap space from Kane.
Well, I mean, that's what we're saying, that Bowman is saying, that he believes this team, when they play well, are pretty tough to beat. And he thinks that they addressed an area, especially up front, by adding Frederick and Jones, that they brought in a couple of guys who have a different dimension than what a lot of other forwards have. Here's the thing. They didn't make as big a splash as they would have liked. I think they didn't make as big a splash as some Oilers fans would have liked. There rarely is as big a splash as the fans would like. I guess maybe the Ekholm trade a couple of years ago was the one time I can remember covering the trade deadline, and there was pretty much nobody saying, oh, they did nothing or that was stupid. You know?
Well, and keep in mind, your top three today, which is coming up after the next break, is going to be your top three deadline winners. So we'll get into that from around the league. Scott on a hotel balcony in Beaumont.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, he's back. He's still out on his balcony. Mind you, the weather's a bit better. Longer days, that's for sure. I'm not commenting on the trade deadline, but Reid's show is A+++.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
He also said he reminds me, I'm sure he's talking about Jake Walman, of a young Doug Harvey.
Oh, well, Doug Harvey was one of the best defensemen who ever played. So if Walman's that good, that would be excellent. By the way, these texts are coming into the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox, 780-218-9999. River Cree Resort and Casino, home of the kitchen restaurant, all-you-can-eat surf and turf for just $59.99 every Friday from 4 to 10 p.m. Anything else?
Matt Hyman
Keep
says Brandon Tanev taking warm-ups for the Jets.
Yeah, well, Jamie said he's going to play fourth line, or be on the Jets' fourth line tonight.
Interesting. Well, and tomorrow, Mikko Rantanen's back in town.
Yeah, Walman will play. So that'll be interesting. Somebody asked if he's going to be the first number 96 in Oilers history, if he sticks with that number. And I have the Oilers number register open somewhere. I have too many tabs open on my computer, everybody.
Classic.
Yeah, nobody has worn 96.
Nobody?
No. So number 90 has been worn by one player. He's on the team right now.
Sure, Corey Perry. There you go.
91 has been worn by 5 players. Do you know who they are? They're all since 2010.
Didn't Mike Comrie wear 91?
Yes, Comrie. Well, this one guy, I don't even remember him wearing 91.
I can help out with Magnus Piarvi.
Yes.
Well, what was Kane?
91.
Yeah.
So
Kane.
we're missing 2 guys. One guy is on the Condors. He played a couple games this season for the Oilers.
Philp?
Kajula,
right.
And the other one is from Switzerland.
Oh, Haas.
Gaetan Haas.
Yo!
Number
Brendan,
92 has been worn by 2 players, both in the last 5 years. Well, one's on the team, Bud Colson. I would struggle to remember this other guy. He didn't play very long. Thomas Yurko.
Who could forget?
93. Who was the other 93 besides Nuge? Do you remember? From 04 to 07.
No.
Peter Nedved.
Peter Nedved.
Ryan Smith is the only 94. There has not been a 95 or a 96. There's been 197, 199.
Who?
Yeah, Jay's like, tell me.
Reid, don't leave me hanging.
Tell me. Let me tell you something, Jason Milne. 97, worn by our illustrious captain, Connor McDavid. Also the number of books I have bound in the past week. Binding books for the enjoyment of others, my passion week-long, and, of course, listening to you, Jason Milne, updating me on trades, not just regarding the Oilers, but from around the National Hockey League. And do you know who wore number 98 a couple years ago? Remember? And Jim Matheson got mad about it? Well, he didn't get mad, but he noted that it probably shouldn't be worn. I'll give you a hint. He was put on waivers earlier this week.
The Bison King.
Puljujarvi wore 98. Because what was he, 39, and then he was 98, and then he was 13?
Well, I don't remember 39 even a little bit.
I'm pretty sure he wore... didn't Jesse Puljujarvi wear 39?
He wore something before.
Yeah, it was either 36 or 39.
Ducky says Comrie was 89.
That's what I remember.
But he wore different numbers.
Right.
Okay, they don't have Puljujarvi wearing anything in the 30s. I thought he wore something in the 30s for the Oilers.
Do we need to clip this? First time Reid's misremembering something?
Well, I misremember quite a bit. There's a lot jammed in my brain.
You.
Trust me. I thought Puljujarvi wore a number in the 30s. Unless he just wore it in the preseason. Where's I think Comrie, because it says Comrie wore it in 2010. He wore it when he came back, right?
91?
Yes. The first time he was 89. Then when he came back for 43 games in 09-10, that's when he wore.
Was somebody else wearing
91.
89?
Oh, that's a good question. Now I got to find that year's roster. My goodness. Welcome to the rabbit hole, everybody.
Look at this.
Wait,
rabbit hole.
I clicked on the wrong thing. We're on the wrong team. Does it have the jersey number? Okay.
He wore 39 in rookie camp.
Yeah.
Oh, Gagne wore 89. Gagne was wearing 89. Yeah, Quinn just texted me. But I know he went from 98 to 13. I thought Puljujarvi wore a number in the 30s. I thought he wore 39.
Russ Jericho says he wore 39 in rookie camp.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
You're too good, Reid.
I'm too good for my own good.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this image of me having Puljujarvi with a 3 and a 9 on his back is not totally out to lunch. But hang on, though. Hang on, everybody. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Because Jesse Puljujarvi's first game in the NHL was the first game at Rogers Place. Because he scored, I think, the 7th goal in the Oilers' 7-4 win over Calgary. It was either the 6th or 7th goal.
You might as well just call this game of the night.
And that was...
Number of the night.
Hang on. Now I'm getting irritated.
Yes. We've done it. We've unlocked irritated Reid.
Okay, I got to check. So Connor McDavid, 16-17 season. That's the game log. Let's check the Oilers roster and the jersey numbers. Have Jesse Puljujarvi at 98. I didn't think that's what he... Okay.
We're in show record territory. We're at 227.
I can't even concentrate on that right now.
I can tell.
Okay, so but this image of me of him wearing something in the third. Oh no, somebody else is saying Puljujarvi wore 82 in rookie camp. Maybe in the preseason he wore 39 or something. Do we have a record thumbs up? Now my brain is all afire.
Yeah, when we're still gunning for Sammy Hagar's favorite number, 200 and...
Okay, now somebody is telling me that Puljujarvi scored the 5th goal in that game. I can get the box score, everybody. October 12th, 2016. And Jesse Puljujarvi scored Edmonton's 6th goal in that game to make it 6-3 Oilers. Then Dennis Weidman scored for Calgary, and then Jordan Eberle got an empty net. Woo! And McDavid scored on a penalty shot. How's everybody doing? It is time for a game of the night for Windsor Plywood Leduc, locally owned and operated since 1993. We're more than just plywood. We offer everything from doors and flooring to decking, fencing, and custom millwork. With a huge selection of hardwoods and knowledgeable staff, we're here for all your DIY needs. Windsor Plywood Leduc, the experts you need to know. Yeah, but Jim Matheson complained that Puljujarvi shouldn't have more 98 because Gretzky's 99, McDavid's 97. Why are you horning yourself in there? Shoehorning yourself in there.
Who cares?
And then I took a picture. Then Matheson was like wearing an Oilers hat at practice one day, and just like a plain leather jacket or something. So I said, "Can I take a picture of your back and say no number for Jim Matheson?" And he was like, "Okay, go ahead."
Colin the Amish Man says, I definitely remember JP wearing 39. It was either preseason or with Bakersfield. I remember him changing his jersey number when he made the team after people were getting jerseys for some reason.
And Russ in the Nasty Chat says, Puljujarvi wore 39 in the Young Stars Penticton tournament.
Somebody's got to have a 39 Puljujarvi jersey.
I would hope so.
That would be great.
That would be epic.
We'd hang it from the rafters.
But yeah, he was 98. Then he changed to 13. I don't know what he wore with Carolina and Pittsburgh. Who is he technically with now? Was it the Panthers that claimed him and then immediately put him on waivers?
Yeah.
Or signed him and put him on waivers?
Reid, I just got to get to this because this will be my
now
game
I'm tired
of the night.
from trying to remember that. My game of the night is Jets Devils. And Penguins Golden Knights. And Wild Canucks. Three half the NHL games tonight are my game of the night.
Okay, here's my game of the night, and this is going to come with some plans.
Did I read the Play More Tables and Games things?
I don't know.
Play More Tables. What did I read? I read Voices of the Game for Windsor Plywood Leduc. Will they get a bonus, Reid?
Yeah.
This is how when I talk about Jesse Puljujarvi, I get all flustered.
Before you do, I got to get this news out there because my game of the night is the Edmonton Oil Kings are hosting the Kelowna Rockets, 7 p.m. tonight. And Patty from the Brew House has sent us a note to the River Cree inbox. Gentlemen, it's Patty from the Brew House. I have 2 loge tables for tonight's Oil Kings game.
What?
That's 2 tables, so 8 seats in total. Can you find some families that want to go? This is from and on behalf of the Canadian Brew House. Reid and I are going to put our heads together and come figure out a way to give these away. We're going to give away 2. We're going to give away one Loge table to one listener and another to a second listener. Okay? So you have to be able to go. You have to be able to receive these tickets via your Ticketmaster account. But how about that? Patty from the Brew House
That's
stepping
awesome.
up from
Loge for the Oil Kings? Those are great seats. All right, you have to text in 780-218-9999 to get these. Who was
This is the first one.
No,
There's
we can have two winners.
Okay, we're just gonna pick the first two that come in.
Yes.
Okay.
Who was the coach?
Oh, somebody sent a picture of Pugliarvi wearing 39.
Okay, good. Who was the coach of the Edmonton Oil Kings when they won the Memorial Cup in 2014? Who was their head coach?
First two, just make sure you
First
can go.
two people to send it in. Make sure you can go.
Preferably families.
Preferably a family, because what, it's 4 seats?
Four seats
at
and
a
the
Loge
best
table?
view you'll ever have.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Kudos.
Text those into the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. By the way, the game of the night is presented by Playmore Tables and Games.
Playmore Tables and Games.
From ping pong and pool tables to darts and dome hockey, plus all the classic arcade action you could ask for, visit Canada's game room experts. Locations in Edmonton or Calgary, or online at playmoregames.ca. So I read the wrong liner.
Nobody's perfect, bruh.
Well, Windsor Plywood Leduc deserves another one.
Well, they all deserve more. We love our sponsors. We love our partners. Everybody that's a part of this.
Man, that was some hardcore remembering for me. I didn't remember things very well. We're 20 thumbs away from 255, which would be epic. Brendan, you have to give us a word of the day. I don't like calling you Brendan. That's not your name, but so many
I catch
people
myself
call you
doing
that.
it.
Yeah,
I know.
your name is Brendan.
Yeah,
but Dustin.
Why don't we call him something else?
You should come up with a name when Dustin calls you that. You should be like, okay, Mustin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really don't mind.
Okay.
It's kind of.
Well, it does mean you're accepted if you have a nickname, I suppose.
Yeah, that is the first sign of people liking you, Brendan.
Bang.
All right. 780-218-9999, the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox, to win a Loge table for a family to the Oil Kings game tonight. Is it Kelowna? Oh, yeah, because I saw the Kelowna bus downtown.
Yes, it is. And we've got one winner already.
All right.
We still have one more.
Who was the coach of the Oil Kings, head coach of the Oil Kings
Boom.
when they won the Memorial Cup in 2014? We got two.
Both are gone.
A guy I've loved to interview over the years as well. It is Derek Laxstall.
Each come with a parking pass as well.
Okay,
My
but
goodness.
you got to email. So you're gonna.
I'll take care of that.
You're gonna
I'll
take
be in
care
touch
of
with
the
Corey
email
and
stuff.
Ernie. Congrats, you've both won. Well done, well done. And thanks, Patty from the Brew House. Brew House, that's awesome.
All right, here's Brendan with a sports update.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring Utah as they head to the Madhouse to face off against the Blackhawks. The Canucks host the Wild. St. Louis heads to Orange County where the Ducks will be waiting. The Panthers, they get another pest to play in their lineup. His name is Brad Marchand. The Stars, they make a splash with Mikko Rantanen and the Wyatt Johnson extension. The Avs go grab Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. The Leafs bring in Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton. And the Sens, they have a new look with Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund. To the association, there are 8 games on the hardcourt, including the Raptors welcoming the Jazz up north. Memphis takes off for Dallas, and the Clippers see the Knickerbockers in the back half of 2 in LA. And a little news from the NFL. The Commanders re-signed Bobby Wagner on a 1-year deal worth $9.5 million. And the Vegas Raiders have found a new starting quarterback. His name is Geno Smith. The Seahawks, they'll get a 3rd rounder in return. This sports update is brought to you by Clover Bar Feeds. Clover Bar Feeds has all the animal feed you'll need. Horses, dogs, ducks, you name it, Clover Bar Feeds has got you covered. Get top-notch service and selection from their family-owned business. Visit Clover Bar Feeds at 200 Portage Close in Sherwood Park or call them at 780-467-5014. Reed's Top 3 after the break. I'm Brendan Eric, and you're up to date.
The Nielsen Show with Lieutenant Eric.
Drew Remenda covering the San Jose Sharks. So tell us a little bit about Walman, man. Here, what are the Oilers getting?
Offensively, he gets up in the play. He's got a hell of a shot. It's a bomb. Jake adds another dimension of a guy who can move the puck and get it up, and he can also play on the second power play unit. Heck, he can play first power play unit. He's smart enough, moves the puck well, and as I say, really can shoot.
The Nielsen Show with Lieutenant Eric, presented by South Fort Chevrolet. Weekday mornings 6 to 9, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Love is in the air.
I love you.
And you? And you? And you! Why choose between your beloved items? Sentinel Storage, keeping your treasures safe to be loved again. Try 4 weeks free. Details at sentinelstorage.ca.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
The Canadian Brewhouse wing flavors of the month are going head-to-head. Spicy Dill 2.0 versus Bang Bang Sauce. Head to the Canadian Brewhouse for wing night to cast your vote. Great wings, cold drinks, and an atmosphere you won't forget. The Canadian Brewhouse. Our house is your house.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino. Don't miss the internationally recognized tribute, the Alan Jackson Experience, April 18th at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement? Bet on it.
All right, NHL trade deadline. We've been talking about that, getting your reaction to how the Oilers did. We had some comments from General Manager Stan Bowman. Here's what he said about the types of players that they have up front and the new forwards that they brought in.
We talked about the desire for our team to have a bit of a different look. I think if you looked at our team as it was before this week, we have a lot of players that are similar up front. You know, they're kind of different versions of the same player. They have different attributes, but for the most part, they're not like Frederick or Jones. Those guys have a much different skill set, and I think it's something that we've been lacking. And as a result, it was an important piece for us to address that.
All right, so yeah, getting a little more speed and physicality up front. We saw Jones last night. Thought he had a pretty good game. We'll see Trent Frederick, later, still on injured reserve with an injury. Portions of this hour presented by Canadian Brewhouse. You can join the Spring Golf League at the Canadian Ice House, running now until May 4th. 10 rounds, two-person scramble format, great prices, and more. Sign up now at the Canadian Ice House and enjoy the season. We got Detroit, Washington on the ESTV. The Red Wings have scored again, 2-0 lead, 7 minutes into the first period of that one. The River Cree Resort and Casino inbox is 780-218-9999. River Cree Resort and Casino, home of the Tap 25 restaurant, where the entire menu is 50% off 7 days a week from 2 to 5 p.m. What do you have for me?
I got a Jersey trivia question for you.
Jersey trivia question for me.
Yeah, well, it got a little spicy there with all the Yessi Pugliarvi talk and 39 and was it a number and Comrie.
Okay.
This comes in from Jared. Which number did Sakic wear as a rookie for the Nordiques?
What number did Joe Sakic wear as a rookie for the Nordiques? Is it a trick question that it was 19?
Reid, I have no clue. He didn't even tell me.
Well, he's got to say it.
Well, I'm sure, Jared, if you're listening.
Yeah, if you're going to ask.
I mean, I'm sure you can Google it.
I understand maybe they're trying to ask both of us the trivia question, but
no,
they need to
they're
tell
asking you.
One of us the answers. Okay, I just looked it up. I did not know. Wow, that's amazing. I did not know that.
What's the answer?
Well, it's tied to Eric Lindros, who never played a game for the Nordiques, but he would have worn this number if he did.
88?
88.
Wow.
That's a great trivia question. Try that on your family tonight. Or a loved one. Or if you're out having a pint or two with a buddy, say, hey, got a trivia question for you. Now, if your buddy also listens to this show in this time slot, your buddy's going to be like, yeah, I was listening to it, Jablonski. I know it's 88.
Maybe that should be your top three. Top three trivia questions that you pull out at, a
that's a
family
good one.
barbecue.
Okay, let's come up with that. I'll do that on the fly now. Top three trivia questions to stump people or impress people or irritate people at a family event or a pub. Okay, we are literally just doing this on the fly.
Yeah.
My first one, and I think it still applies. This is one Sid Smith, my former boss at 630 Ched, used to tell people. How many NHL players have scored 500 goals? How many NHL players have scored 500 goals? How many do you think?
6.
In a career.
Oh.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's way more than 6, baby.
No.
I don't know.
It actually isn't more. Okay, the answer is
12?
1. One player has scored 500 goals.
Huh?
Lanny McDonald, exactly 500.
Oh, you jackass.
48 players, including Lanny McDonald, have scored 500 or more, but Lanny McDonald is the only NHL player in history with exactly 500 goals. As we give you top 3 cheeky, fun, irritating trivia questions.
How many more scored the...
48 players have scored
48.
500 or more. Would you like me to list all of them?
No, I'm okay.
I can list all the active players. Malkin, Stamkos, Crosby, and Ovechkin. That's it. Okay?
Closer to 6.
Yeah. Top 3 irritating, cheeky, annoying trivia questions. How many NFL teams are based in New York?
Are based in New York?
Yes. How many NFL teams are based in New York?
None.
The city? Yeah. 0.
Because they're in the metal,
in the
East Rutherford, aren't they?
Jersey, I think.
Like, what do you mean, the state or the city?
Well.
Okay, if it's a state, Buffalo's in New York.
Correct. 1. Buffalo. Neither of the teams that are called New York. Well, I'm trying to think of these off the top of my head now. Yes, the New York Jets and New York Giants do not play in New York.
But that's not a New York state?
No, New Jersey's its own state.
What?
What did you think New Jersey was? A suburb of Manhattan?
Sure.
Wow. Let's not talk about Manhattan and their rivers.
Oh, Papa Homer, you are so learned.
Learned, son. It's pronounced learned.
But really, technically, how many NFL... If you just say to somebody, how many NFL teams play their home games in New York?
Yeah.
The answer is 1. The answer is 1. Even if you said New York State, they might still say 3. Or they might just say 2. They might forget about the Bills, right?
They would. They'd say the Jets and the Giants, probably.
So can you even add state onto that question and still... You know what I mean? By the way, we need 14 thumbs, everybody. We need 14 thumbs like in the next few minutes.
What desert is the largest in the world?
What? That's not sports.
Who cares? Who said
Well,
it was
you
sports
said-
specific?
we said
no,
it was
I
gonna be
did not. I
sports.
said,
come up with
I said whatever you want to pull out at the family barbecue or around the fire pit or even at the water cooler. It's just trivia.
What desert is the largest in the world? The Sahara.
No.
Gobi.
No.
Is there not like an Arctic desert?
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Oh, the Antarctica is the largest
Antarctic desert.
Antarctic.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so we're going south.
What is the chemical
What
symbol
did you
for
look?
gold?
What did you look up? Annoying trivia questions. I was coming up with these off the top of my head.
What is the chemical symbol for gold?
AU.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
You didn't say it, bro.
But these aren't the.
Yeah.
This
Wanna
not-
race?
Okay, the Antarctic one is a good one. Like, because these are kind of misleading, tricky trivia questions where you got to get people to stop and think. Like, oh, wait a minute, you're trying to fool me. I see what you're doing there.
I like this one, actually. Now, speaking of science class, how much of the same DNA do we share as humans with a banana?
99%.
No.
With a banana?
Mm-hmm.
Bananas.
Yeah, they have DNA. They're plants.
I
Plants
guess,
have
yeah,
DNA.
sure. I don't know. Half?
60.
60%.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
What
I
is
like
the
that one.
name of our galaxy that we're in?
The Milky Way. Well, that's easy. That's not tricky. I'm trying to think of another weird sports one that I could ask. Or obscure one.
If you have a trivia question that you break out all the time, let us know.
Yeah, and like something where it's like, oh, gotcha. See, technically I'm right.
Bone says the highest scoring group of brothers in NHL history.
That's a good one.
That's a good one,
Wayne,
right?
It's Wayne and
Brent.
Brent. Yes,
Brent.
Wayne, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So those are my three then. Highest scoring brothers, and because most people are going to go, well, it has to be the Sutters, right? No, it's Wayne and Brent, who had what, 1 point, 3 points? He didn't have very many. Name all the NFL teams who play their home games in New York. And, well, I forgot the first one I said already. What was,
New York.
What was the first one? No, I had one before. Oh, how many NHL players have scored
Oh,
500
right.
career goals?
Yes.
One.
See,
Lanny
that's
McDonald. Lanny
sneaky, though.
McDonald.
That's sneaky.
Yes, it is. It's awful. It's quite stupid. I'll be the first to admit it. They're top three sneaky / funny / annoying trivia questions you can break out with your family and friends. Think Stan Bowman would have known any of those?
I don't know. Maybe you should ask him next time.
Stan Bowman on having a lot of players on the roster.
I don't know how you do it any other way. I mean, I don't think this is the time of year where you've only got 4 recalls after the trade deadline, so it's not like you can be bringing a lot of guys up and down. The system is sort of designed to be this way. The roster opens up as of the deadline, so I think every team's probably got 14 or 15 forwards and 8 defensemen. I mean, if you don't, then where are you going to get your players from? So I think it's a competition now. I think it's good to have players looking around to realize that if I'm not on my game, someone's going to take my spot. Maybe that was different earlier in the year when you have a smaller group, but I think now bring your best every night, and if not, then you're probably going to find yourself out of the lineup.
Rip City Step says Ken Holland and his guide and record book would. I know they used to bug people when Ken Holland would say, well, you look at the guide and record book. Most people look online now or have a scout to tell them. All right.
There's some funny ones.
What about
here.
Ryan Smith's rookie number? I don't remember what it was.
Which letter is silent in the word sent? The S or the C?
The C.
I don't know the answer. These are just interesting conversations.
How many months of the year have 28 days in them?
All of them.
Yes. Ryan Smith wore number 10.
Do twins ever realize that one of them is unplanned?
That's a good point. That's not a trivia question. That's just a mind bender. Okay, we got a break because we got Brian coming up, and then we got to do a triple word of the day before we go as well. Here's Brendan.
There are 6 games on the NHL slate featuring Utah as they head to the Madhouse to face off against the Blackhawks. The Canucks host the Wild, and St. Louis heads down to Orange County where the Ducks will be waiting. The Panthers get another pest to play on their roster. His name is Brad Marchand. The Stars make a splash with Mikko Rantanen and Wyatt Johnson's extension. The Avs get Charlie Coyle and Brock Nelson. The Leafs bring in Brandon Carlo and Scott Laughton, and the Sens have a new look with Dylan Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund. To the association, there are 8 games on the hard court, including the Raptors welcoming the Jazz up north. Memphis takes on Dallas, and the Clippers see the Knickerbockers on the back half of 2 in LA. Over in the NFL, the Commanders re-signed Bobby Wagner to a 1-year deal worth $9.5 million, and the Vegas Raiders found a new starting quarterback. Geno Smith is going south, and the Seahawks will get a 3rd-rounder in return. Brian Rode, he's next. I'm Brendan Eric, and you're up to date.
Get your fix every single game with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas. Whether it's breaking down the starting lineup, predicting key matchups, or diving deep into the game's biggest moments, Tom and Hernan are here to give you the best insight and analysis in the city. After the final horn, get the breakdown of every key moment, performance, and player reactions. It's your one-stop shop for all things game day. Catch the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Oh, man. Thanks for being with us today on Edmonton Sports Talk. We've had a great day covering the trade deadline, covering what the Oilers did. Of course, Jake Walman, they officially acquired last night after the win over Montreal. Tomorrow, the Oilers host Dallas. It's an 8 o'clock game. We will have coverage starting at 7 with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. And then Tom and Hernan will be on after the game as well to break it down. We are 3 thumbs up away from getting to 255. We've already set a show record, but let's get to 255 just to keep Sammy Hagar happy. Time for the Marmot Basin Ski Report. Ski for half price every day with the Marmot Escape Card. Only $99 at skimarmot.com. Get 4 lift tickets for the family for only $329 at skimarmot.com. Great deal for families, only available online. We have Brian Rode from Marmot Basin. Brian, how are you doing?
Doing well, fellas, and yourselves?
Doing great.
Well, Brian,
good.
We must just start off by saying thank you because you were going to be coming on yesterday, but we kind of had some important news that was breaking for the Oilers. So we really appreciate your flexibility and being able to come on today. Now, let me ask you this: is the town of, we've talked about it, we've established that for the most part, the town of Jasper is an Oilers town. Was there some buzz last night and leading into today for trade deadline?
Yeah, I think so. Although I think I was actually out at one of the local watering holes last night for a little while. Some friends out of town, and it was not as upbeat as it normally would have been. I think that's maybe just a blip, but otherwise, people are pretty excited about what's going on right now. That's for sure.
How are the conditions up there, Brian? Are you officially into spring skiing season?
Yes and no. I mean, the skiing is really good. We've had a fair bit of snow over the last, I'd say, 2 weeks or so. So it's been piling up and it's in great condition. Now, temperatures have been warm. What a lot of people expect sometimes when you get into the spring is sort of that softer, slushier snow. Haven't seen any of that yet. So it's winter conditions, but the sun has been out. It's been gorgeous. And, it only snows at night, sunny during the days.
Well, I plan on being up there, I think the 23rd and 24th, so I'll have to catch up with you and maybe have a nice cold frosty one on the hill with you, maybe, huh?
Absolutely.
Brian, you sent me something and it just took, it scared me a bit, okay, and it made me wonder and ponder, but are the hills at Marmot Basin haunted?
Well, okay, we had a little chat about this. No, the hills are not haunted. However, I will tell you a quick story here. Charlie Dupre, he was a Swiss mountain guide, and he was known, I guess, when he was still alive as being a bit of a prankster. Anyway, he died in 1955 up in an area up in the Knob, which is now known as Charlie's Bowl. So Charlie, being who he was, as far as reputation goes, he haunts the mid-mountain chalets. There's a lot of stories about this, groomers at night, seeing the lights going on and off. And then there's, pots and all kinds of stories about Charlie, and he's quite famous. I will tell you, there are a few people, some of the fellows who used to be caretakers at the Mid-Mountain Lodge. These are the ones that are particularly rattled and have the best stories about Charlie Dupre.
Wow.
Okay, so anything besides the lights going on or off? Like, is anybody seen? Like,
okay, so this one you take as you will. We have a caretaker where we used to have caretakers that would live at the Mid-Mountain Chalet. Make sure the lights are turned out and the rest of it. And I can't remember what year it was. It's going back a ways, but he got up in the middle of the night because he heard some movement and some ruckus and that kind of thing. And all the liquor bottles, because of course there's a bar up there. It's a ski area, even back in the 70s, of course. And these booze bottles had all been arranged on the stairs, top to bottom. Now, he doesn't remember doing it. So I think a ghost is a pretty good scapegoat in that instance.
Maybe were the bottles empty by any chance, Brian?
I don't have any information on that. But the one that is kind of the spookiest is the groomers who are out there at night when we no longer had a caretaker staying at the upper chalet, and they would see the lights go on and off, and that would happen occasionally. But that's the most common occurrence, I think. But Brian, Charlie's well known in the parts.
That is incredible. And I wanted to ask you one before we let you go here. But how long is it, and about what date, and can you time it to the day as to when the first sighting of Topless Guy is skiing down the hill? With the bravado and cool guy, Topless Guy. How soon is it till we see Topless Guy on the hill?
Yeah, well, you'll see that from time to time. Now that we're into March, you'll see it on the sunny, warm days, but it's a rare sighting, right? Now, the last day of the season, that's the day that typically those who are a little braver and pranksters, if you will, you'll see a fair number of them. So last day of the season this year, May 4th.
Okay, May 4th is the day to get snow rash. There you go. All right.
It's not something that we advertise and advocate for, but it is one of those quirks that happens in the spring, and especially the last day of skiing.
Brian, thanks for checking in with us. Busy weekend for you up at Marmot Basin, and we'll touch base with you next week. Take care.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Love having Brian Rode on for Marmot Basin. SkiMarmot.com to check out all their great deals. The Marmot Escape Card, lift tickets for the family. SkiMarmot.com. Incredible stuff. Yeah, the Oilers through the trade deadline. Stan Bowman spoke earlier today. We've had some of the key comments from that on the show this afternoon. Hernan and Gager had it had it live on their show between when did he wind up talking about 1:45?
Yeah, it was later than
And then,
expected.
yeah, well, sometimes that happens. Evander Kane, in a statement, the Oilers saying that he will not return in the regular season, and Bowman basically saying the deeper we go in the playoffs, the chances increase of him playing. So that's the latest we have on Evander Kane. Walman should debut tomorrow against the Dallas Stars. That'll be exciting. Just some other key things. If you missed it, Mikko Rantanen got traded from Carolina to Dallas. And Brad Marchand went to the Florida Panthers. Now, he also is injured, and the draft pick that Boston's going to get back depends on how much he plays in the playoffs. So, but yeah, he'll play for Florida eventually, I guess, but not right away. All right. You guys have done great. Incredible audience today. Great participation in the Nasty Chat on YouTube with your emails. I love getting your limericks to read at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. We have 258 thumbs, which is a new record. That sounded great together. It's like they're applauding, and then they're like, what is David Lee doing?
That's fantastic, everybody. So we do have, obviously, the word of the day, the bonus word of the day, and then the Brundon word of the day.
Do you come up with a word?
He's ready, baby.
He's got it.
Ready.
Okay, but you're giving me the first two.
The word of the day with Reid and Jay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
What do they got to say?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you.
Let's find out.
English, do you speak it? Then you know what I'm saying.
I should tell people too, because I think we had some new people checking us out today, which we appreciate. If you are in on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Our next plateau we want to get to is 12,000. We got over 11.4 thousand today.
Okay, the first word of the day is transpontin. Transpontin.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Transponten. I got the tuba. Is it IN at the end? It is. Crap. That was my first instinct.
Transpontine.
T-I-N. Oh, okay. Wow.
T-I-N-E.
I totally messed that one up. Okay.
This is an adjective. Would you like me to use it in a sentence?
Yeah,
Because you got the spelling
I don't know
wrong.
if I'll be able to get it, though.
Many artists found inspiration in the transpontin landscapes beyond the main city.
I'll say peaceful and serene.
Ooh, close, but...
The tuba's out again. Thanks, tuba guy. Yeah, have a great weekend.
Across or beyond a bridge.
Oh, interesting. Well, I guess trans to cross,
You
right?
got to break them down, you know?
Okay. So across, so you'd say my house was transpontin, the Pembina Bridge. Okay, whatever.
The second word of the day, emollient. Emollient.
Oh, I think emollient?
I'll help you out. Emollient.
This doesn't look right. Emoulient. Way off. Tuba again. Yeah, where does he go? God.
Emollient. Emollient.
I wasn't that too far
Not
off.
too far off. This is a noun. Would you like me to use it in a sentence?
Does it have to do with sort of like decay or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No. She keeps a number of oils in the bathroom, argan, almond, and coconut, to use as emollients.
Well, something that provides a scent to an area. No? Well, I'm just failing. I never do well on Friday. Like, thanks for sending me into my weekend in abject failure.
An emollient is something such as a lotion that softens or soothes.
Oh.
Well, Brendan, it's your time to shine, baby.
Let's go, baby.
I expect you guys to get this as a team. I'm hopefully going to say it right, but perspicacious.
Who?
Perspicacious.
Oh, you expect us to get it. God,
Perspicacious?
Perspicacious.
You're a devilish little imp, aren't you?
Serious.
Perspicacious.
Good. I can feel your anger.
Perspicacious?
That's how I'd spell it.
Yeah, do that. I put a Q in mine.
Is there a Q in it?
Don't do that.
Okay, you do yours.
PURSPICACIOUS.
Dog.
You got it?
Got it.
Nice.
Woo!
Do you know what it means?
Well, let's break this down because
Quacious, is that something that you mean somebody does something a lot, right? Like if you're loquacious? So is this referencing to something that somebody does a lot of or that is done frequently?
Am I allowed to say yes or no?
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Then I'm out of ideas, everybody.
Perspicacious, like he's out.
I'm out.
It
I'm
kind of
checked
looks
out.
like suspicious,
Oh, good point.
right? Pervert.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Nope. It's wrong one. I didn't get it right. Just an overload. What
Needs
is it?
to have a keen understanding or insight of something.
Perspicacious.
Okay. Well, it's not that complicated a definition, but very difficult to spell and to figure. Oh, you spelled it, though.
Thankfully, I was able to spell it. So 1 out of 6.
Hey,
Jeez.
thanks for coming to Edmonton Sports Talk today. We love working here. We love giving you the information that you need. We love conversing with you. We love sharing our passion and this station with you. And we're doing our best to promote it, and we want you to do that for us as well. Tell 2 friends if you enjoyed the station today and to check us out on Monday. Actually, you don't even have to wait for a live stream until Monday. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., Hello Hockey with Gazzola and Belzy. 7 p.m., the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show, and then the boys are back on after the game, Oilers against the Stars. On behalf of Brendan Eric and Jason Milne, I'm Reid. Have a great weekend.